Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Rob coming back at you once again with another live stream. So before we get started, you already know what to do. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice. Smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers, and let's get it cracking, all right? So shout out to all the early birds. I know this is way earlier than I usually go live, but I got some stuff to do today, and I wanted to get this on the books, all right? So we're going to go into a couple things, all right? And I might actually go live a little bit later on, too, so make sure you got the notifications hit. Also, pinned in the chat is the Rumble channel, all right? Make sure that you guys go over to Rumble, subscribe if you're not subscribed, like the video, share the video out, all right? Shout out to everybody that's in the chat. All right, if you guys can hear me and the microphone sounds clean, clear, and crisp, give me a thumbs up or a radiation emoji. If you guys cannot hear me, throw that angry face in there, and we will get this adjusted. All right. So we got Vovo 2 Love in the building. We got my man Al McAllen. You like that beat, Al? That's one of my older intros that I used to use. I've been putting the older intros out. You know what I'm saying? If you guys like that beat, throw some fire emoji in the chat. We got Vovo 2 Love in here. We got Lehman Lucas. My man Lehman Lucas says, Rob, do you make all your beats? Man, I wish I was that skilled. I get all those beats from Epidemic Sound, which Epidemic Sound actually is a really good program for people who make music. They can submit it and they get profits off of the subscriptions that people use for Epidemic Sounds, and they pay them for the licensing of their beats. And content creators can get a pack on Epidemic Sounds where you can use their beats that they have licensed on your content for a monthly fee, which is really cool because there's some really talented people on there, man. Like I'm telling you, some of that stuff on Epidemic Sounds, like honestly, I find myself listening to more music on Epidemic Sounds than I do, you know what I'm saying, like on Pandora or Spotify or something like that, which I don't even listen to Pandora and Spotify. We got my man Emmanuel Carey in the house. Shout out to my man Emmanuel Carey. And we got Tedra Mitchell up in here. And we got my man DeAndre. What's good with it, DeAndre? So let's actually get into this. All right. And we got my man AJ over on Twitch. So shout out to my man AJ over on Twitch. If you guys aren't subscribed to the Twitch channel, take a moment. Make sure you guys go over there. All right. And also, if you guys did not know, Rumble has an app that's just like YouTube that you can download to your device. So if you've subscribed to me on Rumble, make sure that you download that app so that you guys can watch the stream from Rumble if you're not able to get it on YouTube. Because as you guys know, YouTube is shady with the notifications. Speaking of which, there's a pinned survey in the chat about the notifications. Help your boy out. Make sure that you guys do that notification. And also people that watch on the replay, let me know if you got a notification or not in the comment section. All right. So I don't go on Twitter much, but when I see something noteworthy on Twitter, I like to share it. All right. So you know how everybody says, we have no friends. Apparently, we have a quote unquote self-proclaimed friend on Twitter. All right. This is an individual named Ming Hung Lo. All right. Ming Hung Lo's bio says he's the quote unquote rare Asian ally to hashtag FBA, hashtag ADOS, and hashtag B1. WTF have black people ever done to any of us minorities that white America wants every minority here to hate black people? I think that's a valid question. So now let's check out this tweet that Ming Hung Lo posted. All right. Ming Hung Lo posted says, kinda weird how they never fear for their life around violent, non-complying, heavily armed white men. White on white violence is yet another reason their population is declining, but they'll blame everyone but themselves. Now, what is Mr. Hung Lo talking about? Let's check it out. Let's do a little bit more investigation, shall we? So I found an article from 8 ABC Tulsa. All right. Yeah, that name is something else, isn't it? Man, the cultural experience sometimes can be too much. You know what I'm saying? No wonder so many people are racist, you know? Guilty. David Ware was guilty on all counts, including the murder of Tulsa Police Department Sergeant Johnson. So this guy murdered a police department sergeant. And I'm sure you guys probably haven't really heard too much about this story. If you guys heard about this story, give me a thumbs up. If you guys didn't hear about this story, give me a thumbs down. I didn't hear about this story. Okay. Just because I didn't hear about it doesn't mean that anybody else didn't hear about it. I'm just saying I didn't hear about it. And a lot of times I follow this kind of stuff and I didn't hear about it. I got a whole Crimecast live stream lined up for you guys with a bunch of crimes. You know what I'm saying? Even on that Crimecast live stream, I didn't know about this. You know what I'm saying? This was off the radar. So now here it says, Tulsa, Oklahoma. David Ware has been found guilty on all counts, including first-degree murder and the death of Tulsa Police Sergeant Craig Johnson. Okay. Ware was also found guilty on the charge of shooting with intent to kill for severely wounding Officer Arash Zarkshan during the late-night traffic stop on June 29th of 2020. Now, we talk about crime statistics, right? And they always talk about who's involved in violent crimes, but what they don't talk about is who's involved in police killings. That's a statistic that, based on a statistic, you should logically fear for your life about, right? Shout out to my man Lehman Lucas. Yeah, looks like Ming from Flash Gordon. So now here it says the jury took less than 3 hours to reach their verdict after closing arguments on Friday. Sentencing begins Monday morning. Jurors also found Ware guilty on charges of possession of a firearm, unlawful possession, and obstructing an officer. Tulsa County District Attorney Steve Kunzweiler is seeking the death penalty for Ware. This is Tulsa County's first death penalty trial in over a decade. What do you guys think about that? Now, how come that's not all over the place? This guy didn't get choked out from the back by anybody. And the police didn't treat him like he was a threat. What's up with that? What's up with that? How come that's not all over the news? Well, I'll tell you why it's not all over the news. For one, it's not all over the news because we don't own the news. And the people that own the news don't have a vested interest in perpetuating stories like this because it doesn't help anything that they're trying to do. So when people ask the question, well, how come we haven't heard about that? That's why we haven't heard about that. We haven't heard about that because we don't have our own news. And what news that we do have, many of us don't listen to. We shame, blame, and explain to the non-Black owned media why they should cover Black relevant topics. Political shame, blame, and explain. I've told you guys before on the Reacts podcast, I agree with the tenets of shame, blame, and explain. People need to stop doing it. I think that was an interesting concept that Ramil and Ty City brought out, and I think people should have been brought it out a long time ago. Maybe people did. If there are people that did, I'm not saying that to offend those people that did. The people that I know it from is from listening to Ty City and Ramil. But I think that it's interesting, though, applying that shame, blame, and explain to women. I think if you ask me, we should apply it to how we do politics because we do a lot of shame, blame, and explain and been doing it for a very long time. And we ain't got nothing, man. We're going to look at some shame, blame, and explain today. And when I say shame, blame, and explain, I'm not going in on anybody. I'm not trying to say that anybody's bad. I'm not trying to say that anything is incorrect. Shout out to Seduction Doll. Shout out to my man AB Promotions. Yo, AB, hit me up either on Twitter or hit me up on Facebook Messenger, bro. I got your message. And make sure you guys drop some radiation emoji in the chat from my man AB Promotions, who dropped your boy a super chat or a Cash App. Appreciate it. Okay. We do a lot of shame, blame, and explaining. Now, the things that are being shamed, blamed, and explained about, are those things false or incorrect? No, they're absolutely true. However, how do you enforce it? That's the question. How do you enforce the shame, blame, and explain? Well, when somebody else runs the criminal justice system, when somebody else runs the financial system, when somebody else runs the media, what way do you have to enforce whatever shaming it is that you're attempting to validate in order to get damage repair for or to get your own validation for? It can't be done. It's impossible. And that's one of the reasons why I agree with shame, blame, and explain, because it just makes sense. Somebody who realizes that shame, blame, and explain don't work has realized that the world is correct. Because shame, blame, and explain will not work without a way to enforce what behavior that it is that you want changed. As they say so crudely, these hoes winning. These hoes winning because they got power. And now these hoes is winning because they understand the market, the whole economy. And now, even without any consequences to do anything about the behavior, they can gain more power through engaging in the whole economy. All right, let's apply that principle to politics. These white people have white supremacy. White supremacy's sole purpose is to maintain the integrity and population and duration of the overall white race. And if that's not possible, to perpetuate white ideology through non-white people by using black people as the bottom economic floor and the whipping post. Now, the problem is that those people who believe in that ideology literally own every single thing everywhere. They own so much that any ownership that we may have, it's questionable of how much influence it could possibly have in the market. When you're dealing with that disproportion of power, resources, and ability to implement consequences, you have to understand that you have no leverage in a shame, blame, or explain situation. The only thing that you may have is facts or history on your side, which is what we do. We have facts and we have history on our side. But moving into a post-truth era of the world where people participate in post-truth politics, despite the fact that we have all the facts and history on our side, we're still subject to what people who have the majority of the power and the keys to the resources, quote unquote, allow or accept until we're able to somehow rival that. So if you ask me, the focus should be on figuring out a way to somehow rival that instead of shame, blaming, explaining. Let's just say that I had a reparations debate with Ben Shapiro. How does that help anything? And let's just say I won. Let's just say I dog walked him. How does that help? That's the question that I want to know the answer to. How does that help anything? What does that help do? I want to debate. Okay, now what? I want to debate with a person. I still got to get through governmental processes, court legislation, and any kind of lawsuits that may come. Now, I could possibly get through those. It'll take a while and it'll take a lot of resources. But remember, if you're dealing with the people that wrote the rules to the game and they own the board, at any given moment, any rule can change. So you may have won. You got to the end of the game. You completed the game. You beat the game. And while the credits were rolling, guess what? 3 more levels just popped up that you got to complete. That's what we're dealing with. Doesn't it seem like that? If that's what it seems like, give me a thumbs up. If that's not what it seems like, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to my man, Mr. Knock. What's good with it? Let me know. I need to know. When I be trying to have these conversations with you guys, a lot of times everybody goes silent. We got to talk about this kind of stuff. I don't believe in leaders. I believe in people leading themselves and having their own autonomy. You know what I'm saying? Taking your own destiny by the horns and owning it. I don't believe that. I don't believe in no leaders. You know what I'm saying? Leaders always lead you astray. Shout out to my man over there on Facebook. Appreciate you. I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense. You know what I mean? I think it makes sense. And the thing is, shout out to my man John Guillory. The thing is that's nothing to be ashamed of. You know what I'm saying? That's nothing for people to be upset about. The whole purpose of evaluating and reevaluating is to find new and more effective processes and not be stuck in the past. Right? So David Ware, formally sentenced to death for murder of Tulsa police sergeant. Nobody choked this guy out from the back.
Enjoying none.
That's the most important takeaway from this. This guy was heavily armed. This guy deleted and harmed another police officer. Nobody is justifying his death. At least they're not doing it loudly. Ron DeSantis isn't saying anything about how well the justice system works. You know what I'm saying? That's not happening. So let's check this out.
Story here at noon. The state of Oklahoma will put David Ware to death for the murder of Tulsa Police Sergeant Craig Johnson. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Jonathan Cooper. A Tulsa County judge handed down the formal sentence just after 9 o'clock this morning. News on 6's Cal Day is outside the courthouse with more. Cal?
Jonathan, the judge followed the recommendation of the jury on all 5 charges for David Ware. That includes...
Now, let me ask you guys a question. Is there anything that you guys think that the police could have done in this situation in order to keep themselves alive longer? They sure as heck treated this guy like he wasn't a threat. Now, I want to ask you guys in the comment section, why did this guy get treated like he wasn't a threat? Why did that happen? Why did that happen? Let me know why that happened. They could have kept the police could have kept themselves alive if they wanted to. They could have definitely kept themselves alive if they wanted to. But they failed to keep themselves alive. And the reason why they failed to keep themselves alive is because they didn't treat this guy like he was any kind of threat. They didn't justify choking this guy out from the back. They didn't justify shooting this guy off rip. But they never will, because that's not their job. And if we try to use criminal justice legislation and all these different things to shame, blame, and explain and make the police officers act like they're not supposed to do what they were put in place to do, we don't have the power to execute that. So how do we deal with that? See, that's the question. The question should always be, how do we deal with these things? Not how do we get this particular segment of society to cannibalize on their own power and share it with us. It's already been proven that that's not going to happen. That's the whole point. That's not going to happen. Who shares power? No one. You know what I'm saying?
Death for the murder of Sergeant Johnson. Now, Ware appeared in court this morning as the sentencing took place. The only thing he said today was yes when asked if he understood the sentencing. Officer Ras Sarkajan, who was shot and severely injured in the incident, sat in the front row of court today. The judge allowed Sergeant Johnson's son to speak to the court before the sentencing, where he talked about how much he misses his dad. Ware's attorney, Kevin Adams, expects to be back in court defending his client through appeals. Prosecutors say they know there is still a long road ahead, but calls this sentencing bitter.
Yeah, so shout out to Seduction Doll. Seduction Doll says, Rob, you got a Cash App, and can I apply it to a membership? Well, you have to get memberships through YouTube, and the link to be able to do that, the bots will put it in the chat, and the bots also put the link to the Cash App in the chat. So just watch the bots, and it'll definitely show you where to go. All right. And also, guys, if you guys haven't smashed that like button, let me see. We got it looks like 22 people watching. Shout out and thank you to all 22 people watching. If you guys can do the survey about the notifications that's pinned in the chat, that would be great. And we got 15 likes. If everybody can smash that like button and share the video, that'd be great. And also, don't forget, make sure you guys go over and show some love on Rumble.
Sweet.
All of these cases, these death cases, get a lot of reviews.
I agree. Tedra says, I don't understand why Black people expect any law enforcement entity to protect us. The only law enforcement entity that will ever protect us is if we ever are, aware of society enough to realize that we have to create our own law enforcement to internally and externally deal with laws that are broken. We also have to come up with our own laws. You know what I'm saying? That's something else that needs to be done.
And we expect this to get a review, and we think we might be able to change some things here in the with our system.
I would hope that this can be a deterrent.
I hope it's a message to those folks who are out there that run afoul of the law that they're going to actually listen to the police officer. It's going to go a whole lot better for you in the long run if you actually just pay attention to what the police are asking you to do.
And Ware's attorney is citing several reasons to appeal his client's convictions. Among the claims include ineffective co-counsel by Ware's second attorney. Live in Tulsa, Cal Day, Oklahoma's own News on 6.
So what do you guys think about that? Pretty interesting, huh? A judge is following the jury's recommendation and has sentenced David Ware to death for the murder of Tulsa Police Sergeant Craig Johnson. Ware was convicted last month for first-degree murder. Sergeant Johnson's son spoke before the sentencing about how much he will miss his father. What do you guys think about that? So again, if you ask me, one of the important things, shout out to my man Lloyd Sky 9, one of the important things that we should really be doing is definitely keeping track of how many times these things happen as far as these police deletions by quote unquote armed people, right? And so now, that argument always comes, well, more armed white people die by the hands of the police than black people die by the police, right? Well, let's look at the statistic of who deletes the most police officers. Is that a statistic that anybody's even keeping track of? Is that a statistic that anybody's keeping track of? So we're going to dive into this. All right. We're going to dive into this. That guy's name was David Anthony Ware. All right. David Anthony Ware is an American murderer who is responsible for the shooting of 2 police officers in Tulsa, Oklahoma on June 29th during a traffic stop at around 3:00 a.m. What do you guys think about that? How many situations have we seen things like this? How many situations have we seen things like this? See, that's the question. On June 29th, officers Craig Johnson and Arash Zarkshan of the Oklahoma Police Department pulled over Ware for making an illegal left turn and failing to yield at a traffic stop. The officers later found that Ware's registration tags were expired for over 60 days. He had felonies for selling illegal narcotics and possession of drug paraphernalia. You don't hear about what goes on in Tulsa, Oklahoma too much. We don't, matter of fact, we don't hear about Oklahoma very much at all. Why not? Why is it that we don't hear about that? After about 17 minutes after the traffic stop, the officers had already told Ware over 40 times to step out of his car, but he refused to comply with the officers. That's interesting. 40 seems to be the lucky number, doesn't it? 40 seems to be the lucky number. If you get arrested 40 times, it should be a death sentence. Now, if you're in the process of being arrested and you resist 40 times, what should happen to you? We're using their logic. Now, by their logic, if you've been asked to get out of the car 40 times, by the New York City subway logic, you should be dead. The police officer shouldn't be dead, right? You should be dead. But this guy is actually making it to trial, and the legal system dropped the ball on itself so much that now the legal system has to take his life away because he injured one police officer and took another police officer's life away. And how do we deal with this? How do we exalt the ball dropping politically that we've done because the United States government and the people that make it up are incompetent? We restrict this to local news. That's what we do. And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you guys show some love and throw some radiation emoji in the chat for Seduction Doll, who just became a member. Shout out to Seduction Doll. That definitely helps. To anybody else who may be interested in becoming a member, all you got to do is just hit those links that the bots put into the chat. The memberships are as low as 99 cents. Everything helps the channel. So always consider that. And as you guys see, as we grow the network, things will be bigger, better, and more often for you guys. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Seduction Doll. Make sure you guys show her some love and throw some radiation emoji in the chat for her. All right. So now here it says the officers had tased and sprayed Ware numerous times so they could get him out of his car. All right. So I want you guys to answer this question for me. Was this suspect violent and uncooperative? If this suspect was violent and uncooperative, give me a thumbs up. If this suspect was not violent and uncooperative, give me a thumbs down. It sounds to me like there was a lot going on here. That's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like there was a lot going on. Okay. As the officers attempted to get him out of the car, they failed. Look at this. As the officers attempted to get him out of the car, they failed to notice him reaching under his front seat for a pistol. He then began to fire after a brief struggle with the officers outside of the vehicle. Well, if they had have done him like they did a black suspect, the two officers would still be alive and he'd be dead. Seduction Doll said, I need the perks. I feel it. So what do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about that? Let me know. Don't be shy. And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys haven't smashed that like button, make sure that you guys smash the like button. And also, if you guys haven't shared the stream to your social media, make sure you guys share the stream to your social media. And we got 30 people watching and 17 likes. So if everybody can smash that like button and get those likes as far up as we can get them, that'll be great. That helps. Police Sergeant Craig Johnson fell on the ground immediately after being shot at close range. Zarkshan attempted to retreat from the shooter, but Ware continued shooting and struck Officer Zarkshan in the head, critically injuring him. Ware then turned his back to Johnson, who was still lying on the ground, and shot him in the head once more. So it was going down out here. It was going down. You know what I'm saying? It was lit. That's like a scene off of a movie. Man, that's crazy. He went back over to that other officer and shot him. But there's some information out there that says that they were familiar with each other and they knew each other. So there might have been some kind of beef between the two that we don't really know about. You know what I'm saying? So now here it says Ware then fled the scene with his friend, 29-year-old Matthew Hall, whom he called during the argument, was waiting for him in a nearby vehicle. Both officers were rushed to the hospital for emergency treatment. Zarkshan survived the shooting in critical condition, but Johnson died later the next day after being taken off of life support. Now, shout out to my man Greets. What's good with it, bro? So now, let me ask you guys this question. How could this have been prevented? You know what I'm saying? How could this have been prevented? So here's what happened in the aftermath, okay? Ware's lawyer demanded the video of the shooting be released to the public because he feels the affidavit report made by the police made Ware seem cold and calculated. I mean, if you have beaten somebody or you shot somebody down to the ground, right? They're not a threat anymore. And then after you disable the other individual, you walk back over to that particular person and shoot the person in the head. Shout out to John for answering the Nightbot. I'd have to say that that's pretty cold and calculated. I'd have to say that that's pretty cold and calculated, wouldn't you? That's pretty cold. It's pretty damn cold and calculated. You know what I'm saying? Hall was later charged with 1 count of accessory shooting with intent to kill and 1 count of accessory murder for helping Ware evade arrest after the fatal shooting of Johnson. Hall's defense, however, argued that Johnson was still alive when he was accused of helping Ware and was already in prison after Johnson died. The judge later reduced the accessory after murder charge down to second-degree charge of accessory after shooting with intent to kill. Hall's jury trial will take place on Monday, January 4th of 2021, and he's pleading not guilty. So I don't know what ended up happening to that guy. 28-year-old Jacob Garland is accused of giving Ware the firearm in the shooting in exchange for heroin. Well. It looks like the opiate epidemic led to the murder of a police officer. Shout out to my man, Kid Gravity. What's good with it? Make sure you guys subscribe to Kid Gravity's YouTube channel. Well. You know what I'm saying? What do we have here? The opiate epidemic led to the shooting and death of one police officer and the shooting and injury of another. The opiate epidemic. I guess that's what happens when you overprescribe pain medication to one group of people and underprescribe it to one. Now, what a coincidence. Now, that's some world is correct right there. Shout out to Jesse Paris. What's good with it, bro? If you guys agree with John, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree with John, give me a thumbs down. Yeah, I agree. If they treated him like he was black, they would be just fine now. I agree 100%. I think that white people and all the rest of the people of the world should all treat each other like they treat black people. I think that'd be an interesting thing to watch. And I think that's what we should start saying to people. Yo, why don't you treat them like black people? What do you mean by that? What do I mean by that? You tell me what I mean by that. Ware is being charged with first-degree murder in Johnson's death, shooting with intent to kill, Zarkshin, drug possession with the intent to distribute, and possession of a firearm after a felony conviction. Ware is now facing the death penalty for Johnson's death. Criminal history. Is there anybody that's surprised that this guy was a thug? Is there anybody that's surprised that this guy was a thug? Shout out to my man Black Star Racer. What's good with it, bro? Anybody surprised that this dude is a thug? It's the thuggish ruggish bone. In 2006, Ware was arrested for connection to a second-degree burglary. In 2008, Ware was arrested again for connection to a second-degree burglary. In 2017, Ware was once again arrested with connection to drug and burglary charges. So this dude was a scabby, thieving crackhead. A scabby, thieving variety of crackhead. You know what I'm saying? He was a scabby, thieving variety of crackhead, and the opiate epidemic led to the deletion and injury of a police officer. Shame. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if you guys are subscribed to Phil Scott's channel. He's got a bunch of channels, as you guys know, but the one that in particular that I'm talking about today is the Black Congregation. All right. So Phil Scott, Black Congregation. He came out with this video and it has Marcel Dixon in it. All right. And Marcel Dixon was somewhere, and somehow him and Ann Williamson got in front of each other, and Marcel Dixon started doing Marcel Dixon's thing. He started grilling about reparations, which is exactly what he's supposed to do. Shout out to Marcel for doing the due diligence and always being there in these people's faces. You know what I'm saying? apparently Marianne Williamson went full Karen on him, and she called him anti-Semitic. Now, she called him anti-Semitic to try to shut him up because Marcel didn't say anything anti-Semitic. Okay? Marianne Williamson, however, while calling Marcel Dixon anti-Semitic, has proven herself to be a liar. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to watch this video, and what I want people to see is I want people to see where Marianne Williamson lied at. And now the question is that if Marianne Williamson is going to sit there and lie, I have to ask you guys the question, what is it that she deserves? Does she deserve support? Does she deserve votes? Does she deserve to be exposed? What does she deserve? That's the question.
So Marianne Williamson is running for president once again. She tried to run back in 2020, and she did not get the Democrat nomination. We actually interviewed her on our African Diaspora News channel to question her about, reparations and many different things that she said she wanted to do. Well, she is trying to run again in 2024, even though I don't really see her becoming the nominee. But
now, here's my question: is there anybody in here that supports Marianne Williamson? And if you support Marianne Williamson, it's perfectly okay. We got people that support Biden that watch the channel. We got people that support Trump that watch the channel. You know what I'm saying? We've got believe it or not, we've got a very diverse group of people that watch the channel. Okay, so feel free to, if you support Marianne Williamson, state it in the comment section. All right. The reason why I ask is because what I want to ask now is, if you were a supporter of Marianne Williamson, how do you feel about her after what's going to be exposed here? That's the question. Not to attack you, because I don't have any, intention, or there's no incentive for me to attack anybody. The question is for comparison purposes. How intellectually honest are we with ourselves? A lot of times I think we do ourselves a great disservice by not being intellectually honest with ourselves. You know what I'm saying? It takes a very leveled disciplinary approach and confidence to be able to be intellectually honest with yourself, if you ask me. Would you guys agree? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. Jesse says, initially I did because she was in support of reparations, but not anymore. Yeah, I agree. I'm not mad at that. I think that's probably what the case would be with most people, Jesse, so I wouldn't even trip about that. You know what I'm saying?
She's running. And Marcel Dixon started to question her. Now, we've had Marcel on the show on African Diaspora News channel. He was running for Congress at the time, against Jim Crow Clyburn. Well, Marcel went to ask her some questions, and Marianne did not like the questions that Marcel was asking her. Let's go ahead and roll.
So now here go the question. Why would she not like the questions? Why would she not like the questions that she was being asked? You see? That's the question. What's wrong? What's wrong with being asked questions? Why didn't she like these questions?
What Jews right now are getting reparations?
The Jews were Holocaust survivors. The Jews were Holocaust survivors.
Okay, so now you heard what he said, right? And shout out to you guys for hitting that ×3. We got to get that ×15. You guys heard what he said, right? Put what he said in the comment section.
Holocaust survivors. The Jews.
Listen closely.
Jews right now are getting reparations.
The Jews were Holocaust survivors. The Jews were Holocaust survivors.
But they're not getting reparations from the American government.
Marianne Williamson said that particular group of people is not getting reparations from the American government. Is Marianne Williamson telling the truth, or is she lying? If she's telling the truth, give me a thumbs up. If she's lying, give me an angry face.
Asking her. Let's go ahead and roll.
I am a Jew. What Jews right now are getting reparations?
The Jews were
Everything you
Holocaust
said until
survivors.
now is true. What?
The Jews were Holocaust survivors.
But they're not getting reparations from the American government.
Me, a descendant of a
Did you just hear what she said? They aren't getting blank from the American government. Is that a true statement or is that a false statement? Shout out to my man KL Kid Fit. None like a little political SBE in the morning. Facts. Shout out to my man Keep It 100. You know what I'm saying? Like I asked my man Keep It 100 the same question. I asked some gentlemen that I respect very much. You know what I'm saying? My man KL Kid Fit, my man Bronze to God, and my man Keep It 100. You know what I'm saying? And all three agreed. Political SBE. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Lyrit TV. I hope I said that. Is that Lyrit? Did I say that correct? I hope I said it correctly. I'm starting to think she is a DNC plant. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked about that. I think that's a question that's worth asking. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, her pants on fire, but not quite like Megan Hall. You know what I'm saying? Her shit is a disco inferno. You know what I'm saying? Officer Megan Hall got a little disco inferno going on down there. You know what I'm saying? She needs some fast acting tenactin. Spread in the drizzles. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Ooh, them bugs she got. She might need a whole can of Raid down now. You know what I'm saying?
American slaves in a penny yet. At the end of slavery, and I know you probably know these numbers, $42 to $84 trillion was the value of those of us who were enslaved. And I like the fact that you're running on reparations, but you have $1 trillion as the amount, and that is insultingly low. And I understand that you may have to.
Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you guys show some love. Oh, yeah, and also, you know, your boy got jokes. Make sure you guys show some love to the Geek Surgeon with the $2 super chat. Again, the super chats, memberships, all of that stuff helps. Not a requirement, but definitely helps. You know what I'm saying? So shout out, throw some radiation emoji in the chat. 99 cents. You can become a member. It helps the channel. You know what I'm saying?
To make it powerful to the American public, but if we want to do what's right, we got to do what's right. And the amount that we are owed is at $70 trillion minimum. If you just do $1 trillion.
So now what this goes on to say here is that Marcel Dixon, he has an issue with the amount that Ann Williamson is proposing. Okay. And like my thing is, I understand and I get it, and I do not disagree with Marcel Dixon, and you would never catch me getting in front of anything to attempt to stop us from getting the reparations that we are owed. However, if you take into consideration the tenets of shame, blame, and explain, the entire civil rights movement, any type of restorative justice that we've ever politically gotten in this country has been a result of shaming, blaming, and explain, and having the population at large explain. And they don't have to. And we don't have any way of making them do it. So as soon as they do something that appears like it's going to be for us, they'll say, you know what? We can easily dilute this by saying that by proxy, being a minority, all people deal with what Black people deal with. And then completely dismantle what it was that we just achieved politically. You all good, bro? You all good? Shout out to my man AB Promotion. I appreciate you being here. Shout out to my man JD Informant. So now let me ask you guys a question. We're going to put this question in the comment section because I'm not about to jump in front of a bus alone. If I go down, I'm taking the whole damn ship with me. You know what I'm saying? If I go down, I'm taking the whole ship with me. You know what I'm saying? If I got to die, I'm hitting the red button. You know what I'm saying? So now how many people in the comment section agree that we've been politically engaging in SBE, shame, blame, and explain? You know what I'm saying? And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you guys show some love. Definitely appreciate it. Y'all showing major love today. My man Jesse Paris for Denver Mayor just became a YouTube member. Shout out to my man Jesse Paris for Denver Mayor. Again, 99 cents definitely helps the channel. You'll have that green name, access to the perks. You know what I'm saying? So appreciate it.
They said in the 20th century, Black Americans lost $400 billion in just land theft alone. That doesn't go to Jim Crow. That doesn't go to being left on the Homestead Act that gave white Americans $10 trillion and 300 acres. So I love the fact that you're running a reparations plan, but your plan is going to have to get those numbers right. It's got to be lineage based, and the money needs to go directly to us.
So now, I mean, Marcel Dixon is saying all the right stuff. Right. But the problem is remember with Shame, Blame, and Explain, it don't matter if you have the facts on your side. The problem is that we don't have a consistent and viable, guaranteed way of enforcing this. So we need to be able to be making sure that we have a way of enforcing this, because Marcel Dixon is right. He's right. I got to agree with the geek surgeon. We need to stop SBEing. SBE, if you ask me, is only good for historical purposes. It's good to understand and know the whole history behind why those things are owed. Right? But if we don't have a way of forcing the facts onto people, along with getting guaranteed delivered consequences, what's the point? We gotta create methods, delivery methods. You know what I'm saying? So there's nothing wrong with what Marcel is doing. There's nothing wrong with what Marcel is saying. No one in their right mind watching this should take this as a knock on Marcel. the geek surgeon said, but I love the entertainment part. I ain't mad at it, bro. I ain't mad. I ain't gonna lie. I like it too. You know what I'm saying? I ain't even gonna front. You know what I'm saying? Don't feel bad. You know what I'm saying? But now, first, everything that Marcel has said has been true. Ann Williamson lied, and we're gonna prove that Ann Williamson lied. Now, I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. What did Ann Williamson lie about? What did she lie about? What was she not being honest about? Let me know in the comment section.
When the charities got their money, they got to council, it went straight to them. Those Holocaust survivors, that money goes straight to them.
That's right.
We deserve to have even more.
Yeah, so let me say a couple of things. First of all, I honor how you stand up for your ancestors, and I stand up for mine. The United States has not paid $1 of reparations to Jews for the Holocaust. That's number one.
So, did you hear what she just said? This is what's important. This is one of the ways that you vet a politician. What did she just say? This is key. This is crucial. What did she just say?
Reparations to Jews for the Holocaust.
That's not true? That's not true? Oh, that's not true?
First of all, I honor how you stand up for your ancestors, and I stand up for mine. The United States has not paid $1 of reparations to Jews for the Holocaust.
If you guys agree with Lloyd Sky 9, give me a thumbs up. That's what she said. That is the words that came out of Ann Williamson's mouth.
That's the one. And by the way, as far as some of the things you said about Roosevelt, which was true about history of the Black people, he didn't do well by the Jews during the 2 years when Hitler said they could still leave. So I will not stand here while anti-Semitic tropes are repeated.
Anti-Semitic tropes? What anti-Semitic tropes? While you're standing up there being anti-Black, what anti-Semitic tropes were being espoused? So now what I want you guys to see is, I want you to see what a Democrat white feminist is trying to do to Marcel. She's trying to Kanye West, Kyrie Irving, Marcel. And this is the lady that says she's going to do what? That's your first reparations payment? You're trying to Me Too a black man? Shame, blame, and explain don't work. Marcel trying to explain You know what I'm saying? And Marcel did a good job explaining. Ann Williamson is Ann Williamson. What did she say? She said, I love how you stand up for your ancestors. I'm going to stand up for mine, which means that she's all about preserving that racial wealth gap because that's what her ancestors did for her. If you guys agree with that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
That's not anti-Semitic. That's the truth. That's the truth. That's the truth. Holocaust survivors are getting reparations. That is not anti-Semitic. That's the truth. And I will continue to do so. And standing up for my ancestors means speaking the truth.
You guys see that? Ann Williamson went full Karen. It's not the first time she went full Karen. She went full Karen on Revolutionary Blackout Network too. And guess who came and tried to save her? Vosh. But that's another story for another day. Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, we got 40 live viewers. Shout out to everybody that's watching. If you guys haven't smashed that like button, please take a moment. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, make sure you guys take a moment and hit that bell. And also, please make sure you guys share the stream to your social media. So, here's the question. Who in their right mind would say that anything, and shout out to John for answering Streamlabs, who in their right mind would say anything that Marcel said was anti-Semitic? There was no anti-Semitism in anything that he said. Come on, stop. Really?
Holocaust survivors did get 14 trillion facilitated. That is a fact. That is a fact. I don't know what I know that my ancestors have not gotten.
Oh, look at her. Look at her. Look at how aggressive. Look at this. Look at this. Full Karen, man. Full Karen. I'm cool on anything she trying to give anybody. Appreciate it, Jesse. Yo, Jay, I got that message that you inboxed me on Twitter. I think that the content that Kid Gravity and I plan on doing is going to cover that. Jay says, yeah, great conversation with Nick and Sabby. Ann Williamson was being protected by Vosh, Vanguard, and other clowns. Yeah, facts. Yeah, no doubt. Remember how Vosh went out in front of a bus to make sure that he tried to get on code with everybody else when he was trying to go in on Tariq Nasheed when that white dude at the hotel put his head through the computer as if that's normal behavior. You guys remember that? If you guys remember that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't remember that, give me a thumbs down. That happened. You know what I'm saying? That definitely happened. I agree, John, and that's the point. I agree 110%. John says that is her way of saying shut up, saying it's anti-Semitic. Now, see, that's one of the problems that you run into when you use shame, blame, and explain. When you say, well, you all need to do this for us because you did it for the other group. Oh, my God, you're talking about what you did to the other group? You must be anti-them. You don't think that women should be free and sexually liberated and just have sex with anybody that they come in contact with, and then when they settle into a mature age, expect to have the same quality man that they could have gotten had they not behaved like that? Oh my God, you must be misogynistic. You must be anti-woman. You're comparing the fact that your group of people went through historic wrongs and they haven't gotten paid a dime, and this other group of people went through historic wrongs and they continuously get paid. Oh, you must be anti that group of people. Anytime you shame, blame, and explain, you always set yourself up for being called anti something. As you can see, he compared our plight to the other group of people's plight. All of a sudden, here comes Ann with the, well, you must be anti that group of people. So now we're going to shut down any conversation on whether what was said is true or false. We're going to say you're anti this. If you guys see that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't see that, give me a thumbs down. So now if we know that that's a counter that's always going to occur when it comes to shame, blame, and explain politics, my question is, why do we continue to use shame, blame, and explain politics? Exactly. Now, here's my question. This is the main question, and this shuts down all arguments. This right here validates that shame, blame, and explain politics is true and will lead to nowhere. How do black people have a way of enforcing or diffusing "I'm white and I say so"? If any conversation can be shut down with "I'm white and I say so," how will shame, blame, and explain convince any kind of payout or any kind of political camaraderie? I can shame you about your ancestral history. I can shame you about the wealth gap. I can shame you about police killings. Now, all of those things that I just have attempted to shame the dominant society with, all of those things have happened, no doubt. All of those things are terrible, no doubt. Here's the question. How do we enforce consequences to make sure that those things don't happen anymore? We can't enforce consequences. Men have less power in this world to enforce consequences, quote unquote, on these hoes, according to the originators of SBE, right? I agree with that. That is some world is correct shit. I agree with that. You can't shame women into behavior that you want them to make. They have to either be that kind of person on their own, or you have to somehow have some kind of way to solidify faithful incentivization. Otherwise, it can't be done. And it's not a gender issue, it's a power dynamic issue. It's a power dynamic issue, which is what we're dealing with politically, a power dynamic issue. Shame, blame, and explain will not work in politics. And that's how we've been doing politics. I could talk about historic wrongs all day long. It's all about whether the people that have the resources want to or not. No doubt, Seduction Doll. So I agree with, like I've said before, like I said on the Reacts podcast with my man Grind and Motivate, I agree with shame, blame, and explain. I think that it should be expanded. You see it in politics all the time. You just saw Marcel Dixon shame, blame, and explain Ann Williamson. He SBE'd Ann Williamson, and Ann Williamson goes on some, "You're anti-Semitic. I'm about to be a Karen. I'm white and I say so." And I can do that, for one, because I have the power, and it's you asking me for the resources because you don't have them on your own. So now the question should be, what's the fix to that? What's the fix to that? Make sure that you have your resources in place. That's the fix to it. If the laws are meant to harm you, you have to make it so that you're above or outside of the law. How do you do that? Power. And that's one of the reasons why I do not believe that there are a majority of people that are interested in the kind of changes that I be talking about. Because if the people were interested in the kind of changes like this, then these things would already be a thing. You know what I'm saying? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. John says it's straight up all about who wields the power and makes the rules. Heck, look at the story of God and Lucifer. It's not matter how bad the devil is or was. God has the power, so his way goes. And yeah, I agree. And I actually I've got some interesting theories about that. That's a stream that I would need Izzy for. That's another stream. You know what I'm saying?
Penny. My ancestors have not gotten a penny. That's all I know. And it's an insult for the American government to facilitate a facilitation of payment to Holocaust survivors while my great-grandfather is still alive and he fought to save the Jews from the Nazis.
Excuse me. It is because I'm Jewish.
Shame, blame, and explain. And what did she say? What did Mary Ann Williamson just say? Pay very close attention to what Mary Ann Williamson just said.
It is because I'm Jewish.
What did she say?
Excuse me. It is because I'm Jewish that I feel so strongly about that.
And I feel strongly about reparations for my people too.
Right here,
Obama administration has awarded 12 million for assistance to survivors.
Shame, blame, and explain. Shout out to Marcel for having so much patience. Now, here's the question, and this is the question I need people to answer. Has Marcel said anything incorrect or wrong? If Marcel said anything incorrect or wrong, let me know. That is. If you guys agree with the geek surgeon, give me a thumbs up. That's SBE, baby. Yeah, that is SBE. Shame, blame, and explain. I'm about to shame you about your ancestors. I'm going to shame you about what the United States has done for other groups of people. And I'm going to shame you for not caring about the fact that we haven't been compensated. So what? Now I'm just going to be full Karen. Yeah, I'm going to run up on you. I'm going to run up on you like I want to slap you. Because if I slap you, I mean, this is my world. There's no consequence. So, I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and go and slap you. Or maybe I won't. But regardless, the choice is in my hands because I had a power. You know what I'm saying? If you guys agree with that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
This happened in October 2015. I don't lie, and I know my information.
You know what, Marquez, this is not right.
So now the old school, it's the same thing, right? Like if you look at what's going on with, you know what I'm saying, a lot of the people in that direction, the manosphere, a lot of people hating on Ty City, a lot of people hating on Ramil because they don't like the fact that they're talking about the error of people's ways with the whole shame, blame, and explain thing, right? So you have people saying stupid shit, talking about it's a grift and all kind of shit like that, you know what I'm saying? Which it's not. Explanation and examination of a behavior, it's impossible for that to be a grift. It's simply just observing a situation. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, people that are offended and butthurt because it takes away from the quantity or the quality or the validity of whatever product it is that they're begging for super chats for, they're upset, they're mad, they're butthurt. Expect people to do the same thing to us when we talk about political shame, blame, and explain. And I'm going to put this out here clear for anybody who thinks they're going to say anything or try to come at me or say any kind of crazy ass shit. I don't give a fuck about what you have to say. The only thing that you could possibly say that I give a fuck about is prove that we don't shame, blame, and explain in politics. If that's not what you have to say, you may as well not tag my name in any videos. You may as well not put my thumbnail, my face, or any of my imagery on any thumbnails. I'm not gonna give a shit. Disprove that we use SBE, then I'll give a shit. You could call me all kind of names. You could say I'm a coon. You could say I'm an agent. You could say I'm off code. You could say whatever the fuck you want to say. I don't give two flying fucks. Prove that we don't shame, blame, and explain. And then you'll get my attention. Roasting, joking, laughing, doxing, mocking. All of those are signs that you can't disprove what I say. Nicknames, funny, he, ha, all means that you can't misprove what I say. Disprove what I'm saying with cited information, and that will get my attention. If that's not going down, I don't want to hear it. Shout out to Torian Rain. What's good with it? B1, bro. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, when people, shout out to Carlton Way, when people come with new ideas or when people come with new ways of looking at it, a lot of times it's the old people, the locked in people who always have a big issue with it. So instead of attacking the talking points or instead of attacking the argument, they'll attack the person. You can't attack me. I've already told you I'm off limits. I'm not going to be responding. It doesn't make any difference to me. This is a discussion, not an attack. You know what I'm saying? I want to know if you feel that we don't politically SBE. I want to know how it is that we don't do that. Many of our political talking points are based on historical wrongs. If you're wrong, there's shame there. And if you're utilizing those wrongs as the reason of why we're justified anything, that's going to be shaming. Now, does that mean that any of our claims are historically incorrect? Absolutely not. Everything that everybody says that we're entitled to that and more. I want to make that clear. What we're talking about here is not whether history is accurate or not. What we're talking about here is strategy and tactics. Strategy and tactics. If you ask me, there's plenty of evidence to show that shame, blame, and explain do not work with dominant society. Anybody who is, matter of fact, the simple fact that anybody makes content based on attempting to improve our economic standing, narrow the racial wealth gap, any issue specific to us, anybody that makes content about that and is making that content to prove any kind of point to the governing body, you're shame, blaming, explaining because you're using unfortunate circumstances that the governing body is partially responsible for, attempting to shame them into a result. And it's not going to happen. You can't shame people into doing something unless you have a means of forcefully making them do it. And at this point, we don't. So if you ask me, the focus of construction should be on creating mechanisms to where we are able to have a higher likelihood of successfully forcing our will. Would you guys agree? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
You cut me off. I was talking. You cut me off saying it was anti-Semitic. That's not what it was. I was telling the truth. I was telling the truth. You cut me off and accused me of being anti-Semitic. I'm speaking for my answers. I'm telling the truth. And I don't care who doesn't want to hear it.
Now, again, we've already seen this. Marcel was not being anti-Semitic. He stated a fact, and we're going to reinforce that fact. What happened is that Ann Williamson is a liar. She got triggered like how Rollo Tomasi got triggered the other day. And so what did she do? She had Karen rage. And she resulted to attempting to shut him up with an ad hominem shaming technique. And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys haven't smashed the like button, please take a moment, smash the like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, make sure you guys hit that bell icon twice. And also, please make sure you guys share the stream to your social media.
Hey, well, the facts disagree with you. The facts disagree with you.
Marianne just really showed her true colors. I mean, when Marcel was talking about the history and pressing her also.
Talking about the history. And what did Ann Williamson say in response to Marcel bringing up the history? I appreciate how hard you go for your ancestors. Now I'm going to protect mine. There you have it. That right there should tell you everything. At that point, there's no need to even continue to have a conversation. You already know what time she's on. Anybody that's knowing what their ancestors did, anybody that says, I'm going to protect my ancestors, unless your ancestor is John Brown, that's not really something that you should be bragging about. Unless your ancestor is like Nikola Tesla or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Somebody that's made monumental changes to the world. I wouldn't really be bragging all like that. But that's what she said. And now, if I'm not mistaken, Ann Williamson, she's from North Carolina, and I'm pretty damn sure she's not related to John Brown. So you know who her ancestors were. She's probably an Adoso. Oh man, and that Adoso spirit came out. She was walking. She walked up on Marcel Dixon like she was going to do something. Look at that. Look at that. She ran up on him.
And standing up for my ancestors means speaking the truth. Holocaust survivors did get 14 trillion facilitated. That is a fact. That is a fact. I don't know what it is. I know that my ancestors have not got a penny. My ancestors have not.
Look at that. What? And then she stopped herself. Whoa. Hold on. Whoa. What you think you was about to do? What she think she was about to do? Go hit him with her purse or something? What's that? Carlton Way says, I believe that shortly after this clip, Marcel's school fired him for being an quote-unquote angry black man. I find that interesting, shaking my hand. That's interesting. Now, Marcel Dixon is a hero. Where's his $1 million in the GoFundMe since he lost his job? And he actually didn't quit. He lost his job. Shame, blame, and explain. It's never going to work.
Got in a penny. That's all I know. And it's an insult for the American government to facilitate a facilitation of payment to Holocaust survivors while my great-grandfather is still alive and he fought to save the Jews from the Nazis.
Excuse me. It is because I'm Jewish that I feel so strongly about that.
And I feel strongly about reparations for my people too.
Right here,
Obama administration.
What did Marcel Dixon do to get fired? I'll tell you what he did. He applied to work at that school that he works for. That's what he did to get fired. That's the only thing that he did to get fired. Now, Marcel Dixon needs $1 million in his GoFundMe account. He actually lost his job for standing up. He didn't quit on his own because he was fragile. He went and did this and had planned on going back to work. I also thought that reparations was something that lazy people who don't work talk about. How are you lazy and don't work, yet you got fired for something not related to work? How does that work? You know what I'm saying? How does that work? That's the question. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is the question. I think we deserve answers. What do you guys think? I think we deserve answers. You know what I'm saying?
Administration has awarded $12 million for assistance to Holocaust survivors. This happened in October 2015. I don't lie, and I know my information.
You know what, Marcel, this is not right. This is not right. Actually, I'm more than glad.
You cut me off. I was talking, and you cut me off saying it was anti-Semitic. That's not what it was. I was telling the truth. I was telling the truth. You cut me off and accused me of being anti-Semitic. I'm speaking for my answers. I'm telling the truth. I don't care who doesn't want to hear it.
And shout out to John for answering the Nightbot. Make sure you guys show some love and help John out with that Nightbot. So now, what do you guys think of this? Now, let me ask you guys a question. I think that Marcel Dixon should have $1 million in his GoFundMe account. And if Marcel Dixon don't have $1 million in his GoFundMe account, if you ask me, that says a lot. That says a lot if Marcel Dixon don't have $1 million in his GoFundMe. Shout out to DJ Elmo. If Marcel Dixon don't end up with $1 million in his GoFundMe, that should explain a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? That should explain a lot of things. Now, I'm going to ask you guys a question. What kind of things would that explain? Shout out to DIY Queen. What's good with it? What kind of things would that explain?
The States is not giving $1.
Well, the facts disagree with you. The facts disagree with you.
Mary Ann just really showed her true colors. I mean, when Marcel was talking about.
Now, let me ask you guys a question. Did Mary Ann show her true colors? If Mary Ann showed her true colors, give me a thumbs up. If Marianne didn't show her true colors, give me a thumbs down. If you ask me, Marianne showed her true colors. So there shouldn't even be any more question about her. Now, as far as shame, blame, and explain, that's the only thing that shame, blame, and explain is good for. I mean, you using shame, blame, and explain as a vetting tool. I mean, I guess that's a possibility that there could possibly be some use there. But as you can see, you're not going to get anything from it. You're not going to get anything from it. As a matter of fact, the shame, blame, and explain can actually work, against you, like how it worked against Marcel. Marcel went to that meeting. He didn't get reparations, came back home, and now doesn't have a job, at least according to the chat. You know what I'm saying?
The history and pressing her on some things, she immediately went to the anti-Semitic trope that they like to throw on people when people just kind of challenge them on some things. It was just a difference of, opinion and fact. I mean, Marcel did pull up. Barack Obama did give.
I gotta agree. All right. I agree with John Guillory. It would mean that Marcel doesn't have the support from his own, like WS support their own. I agree. And so if that's the case, then people gotta cop and stop saying that they want things that they truly don't want. Stop saying that people want stuff because it sounds good. People gotta cop. I'm not supporting this dude. There's a lot of people out here that's wasting our time. You know what I'm saying? The Geek Surgeon says you get a lot from it, entertainment. Yeah, we get entertainment. The facts disagree with you. Right. And my thing is, shout out to DIY Queen. My thing is we shouldn't want a leader. I don't want a leader. I make that very clear that I don't follow any leader. There's literally nobody that's my leader. I may agree with certain points that people say, but no, I'm led by no one except for myself. I sanction my own content. I say what I want to do. I do what I want to do. No one dictates or determines anything about me other than me. And in my opinion, I feel that more people should be like that. I don't follow a narrative. I don't care how much I like you. If I disagree with something about you, I disagree with it. And that's just the end of the story. It won't be me that can't handle the disagreement. You know what I'm saying? And I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad about that. I don't care. Handling disagreement is very low-level activity. If somebody's not capable of doing that, they're not capable of doing very much. And if you're not capable of doing very much, then you're of no use to me. And if you're of no use to me, then I can't be wasting my time with you. You know what I'm saying? It's just as simple as that. Here, I have a question for people. Now, here's the question, right? Let's just say, for instance, people put their energy and time and faith behind a leader. And then what happens when that leader leads you astray? And you shame, blame, and explain to the leader about how you know you did wrong. If somebody that you trust and you put the money in their hand and they take that money and do whatever, I mean, yeah, they didn't do the right thing, but at the end of the day, who put the money in their hand? You could have done it on your own, but instead you put the money in this person's hand. So what happened is you got what you got. You put money in somebody's hand and they spent that money. How could you have avoided that situation? Handle that shit on your own. I don't want a leader. You know what I'm saying? Me personally, this is my personal preference. I disagree with leaders. To me, when there's leaders, there's an echo chamber. The balance of power is off. Instead of people doing their own due diligence, they follow the leader. That's why playing the game, following the leader is a game. It's an actual game. You know what I'm saying? It's a game that they play like in kindergarten. There's a reason why it's a game. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Notice how many other people don't follow a leader, right? And we do. We want a leader. So now when people say when it comes to politics, you're just playing around, we are literally just playing around because follow the leader is a game. Facts. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man, Torian Rain. Torian says, I noticed WS will blindly support their own just because they're white, as long as it hurts us. Facts. Daniel Penny getting millions is a perfect example of that. Facts. 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 And they ain't the only ones that do it. Literally everybody else do it. And some black people who have a completely dysfunctional brain, their brain is damaged to the point where they're on that time thinking that way as well. They always have to jump out in front of a bus. Backwards politics. There's a lot of money in being a leader, though. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to dealing with black people, because when you're at the bottom and the only way that you can go is up. I mean, everybody's recipe of going up sounds great because it's better than nothing. So people can just sell you hot shit on a plate and people will buy it, which they have been. And then you can have the leader do all the shame, blame, and explaining for you. You know what I'm saying? The leader can do all the shame, blame, and explaining. You can put a middleman to the shame, blame, and explain. Well, we don't have to do it. We get the leader to do it. And then in 4 years, we can ask why shit didn't happen. You know what I'm saying?
Holocaust survivor some money before he left office. That is the truth.
Because to the American public, but we want to do what's right, we got to do what's right. And the amount that we are owed is at $70 trillion minimum. If you just do $1 trillion, they said in the 20th century, Black Americans lost $400 billion.
So now the thing is that there's nothing that Marcel Dixon wasn't saying that was incorrect. Damn, shout out to my man Senpai Dolph. Damn political SBE. Is it true though, Senpai? You know what I'm saying? Is it true? It's true, if you ask me. You know what I'm saying? DIY says, Carlton, the Asian leader is WS. They all subscribe to the same program and have the same enemy. I agree. But there's no physical entity, no person that's a shot caller or anything like that, right? It's just the idea. I agree with Torian. Super facts. They used so-called anti-Semitic in order to shut him down, or so they think. Facts. See, shout out to my man Senpai. Senpai agrees. So see, like most people are in agreement that these old, outdated, old school, cash cow, money-making grifts and ideas are nothing more than political SBE. Political SBE is a condition of insanity because we're shaming, blaming, and explaining for centuries of historical wrongs to a group of people that will not respond with anything other than malice. Shout out to Lloyd Sky 9. SBE is enough. I watched a BGS stream where Ty City called out the Black Manosphere for SBE tactics, which is interesting because if you're SBEing, you're playing the victim Olympics, which the Black Manosphere is on that racism doesn't exist. Black people don't need reparations and stop with the victim mentality shit. So you're taking victim mentality and weaponizing it elsewhere. And like I said on the Reacts podcast, I agree with SBE. I agree with shame, blame, and explain. Shame, blame, and explain is a distant cousin of the world is correct. I agree with that shit. Hardcore, no, you know what I'm saying? No backing away from that shit. You know what I'm saying? That SBE shit is real. Make no mistake.
and just land that alone. That doesn't go to Jim Crow. That doesn't go to
Matter of fact, if you actually listen, if you go to hip hop cartoons and listen to those little clips that Neely Fuller Jr. Put out, Neely Fuller Jr. is like the grandfather of Shame, Blame, and Explain. You know what I'm saying? He was basically sitting up there talking about how people are shame, blaming, and explaining because we don't have any power and shit like that. DJ Elmo says, invest in the politicians who fight for you, trickle your money on Jordan, women, and jewelry. Yeah. Untitled said, can't demand free stuff from white people and expect to stay employed by them. I don't think anybody was demanding anything free from white people, but sure. So let's ask the question. Is the United States government white, and are white people the only people that pay taxes? Is that what you're implying? Because last time I checked, the weighted average of the tax in the United States, or whatever that might be coming from, because if the United States government was actually as intelligent as they claim that they are, then they wouldn't even have to use any money from the United States. China owes us trillions in sanctions. They could use sanction money. Would that be white people paying? Are you admitting that Asians are white and white people and Asians are the same race? Is that what you're admitting by saying that? I'm trying to figure out how your point makes sense. Okay, so you're saying that the government is white folks. I wouldn't say that the government is white folks, but I would say that the government mainly represents the interests of white folks. Now, the government at the time of when all the events that took place, reparations and Jim Crow, the government was in its totality white folks. But at the same time, though, I do kind of agree with that statement. And that's shame, blame, and explain. Oh, yeah, all they got to do basically is I'm going to call you anti-Semitic here, and I'm put in a phone call and get you fired from your job. So I actually do agree with that. The only thing that I don't agree with is the part about white people would be paying the reparations. That's not true. Anybody that's a taxpayer would be paying the reparations because it would be tax dollars. That's it. Now, implying that black people as a whole, 100% of black people don't pay taxes, that's a separate issue of white delusion that I don't know if we even have to deal with it. We just have to recognize that it exists, that these people are delusional. You know what I'm saying? Let's actually ask that as a question. Why do white people feel that they're the only group of people that pay taxes? Yet, if you talk about college admissions, IQ tests, or anything like that, white people will be the first ones to say that they're out-earned by Asians, which means that if you're out-earned by Asians on a proportional level, Asians are paying a higher weighted average tax contribution than whites. How come they don't talk about that? Untitled says, I agree with reparations, but they're not going to hand it over as easily as giving tax dollars to Ukraine. I agree 110%. If you guys agree with Untitled, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree with Untitled, give me a thumbs down. I agree 110%. And for this reason, this is one of the reasons why I keep saying that political shame, blame, and explain, it's not going to work. We have too much past evidence that shows that political shame, blame, and explain does absolutely nothing. It doesn't stop white people from killing black people. It doesn't stop cops from murdering unarmed people, and it doesn't have anybody donating any money into the racial wealth gap. Here's my question for everybody in the comment section. Show me an example of where shame, blame, and explain has worked politically. Show me an example of it. Give me a policy. Give me how we've benefited from it. Give me the name of the politician who bent the knee to shame, blame, and explain. Is there anybody that can provide me with that information?
Being left on the Homestead Act that gave white Americans $10 trillion and 300 acres. So I love the fact that you're running a reparations plan, but your plan is going to have to get those numbers right. It's going to be lineage based, and the money needs to go directly to us. Because when the Japanese Americans got their money, they didn't go to a council, it went straight to them. Those Holocaust survivors, that money goes straight to them. That's right. We deserve to have even more so.
The United States was
now. Here go my question: was Marcel Dixon shame, blaming, explaining right there? Was Marcel Dixon SBEing? If Marcel Dixon was SBEing right there, give me a thumbs up. If he wasn't, give me a thumbs down. Now, again, you know, there's plenty of people that are detractors and low IQ morons on YouTube that'll try to take this and say, well, Rob, you're sitting up here trashing Marcel Dixon. For the 9 millionth time, for the people who ride the slow bus and are sitting on the back seat with the emergency latch up, I'm not trashing Marcel Dixon. Like I said, the talking points that make up the shame, blame, and explain being used are historically true and accurate, and we're owed reparations. Right. Untitled facts. Facts. We're currently sitting at 200 billion plus given to the Azov battalion in Ukraine, but Coons be saying it'll F up our economy if we give out reparations. Facts. If you guys agree with Untitled, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. That's facts. DJ Elmo says, white folks think they are the only ones who pay taxes because in their mind, fantasy, black folks are still indentured servants or enslaved. Facts. And that technically might not even be a fantasy. That might actually be somewhat true. We might actually still be slaves and indentured servants, because if we don't have any representation, we don't have any power, and we don't have any determination of our own destiny, and our destiny is a derivative of what goes on with other people in the country because they have far more power than us, it is arguable that we are still indeed slaves or indentured servants. So that might not actually be a delusion. It's just all part of the nonsense that we have to deal with and break up. Shout out to my man Cameron Jones. Shout out to my man Solo. What's good with it, bro? Solo says, they say all we will do with the money is blow it, but if that were true, they will give it to us. I don't think they would even give it to us. My thing is, what have we been, quote unquote, given besides slavery and bullets? If we leave it up to them with their history of giving, we're going to get killed. That's what we're going to be given, is death or imprisonment. That's what the history of what has been given to us is in this country. Would you guys agree? If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Instrumental in getting Germany to pay Jewish people reparations for what happened
to Ricky. What's
during
good,
the Holocaust. We have not been paid anything for our American Holocaust. That's all Marcel is saying. Like, why would you get upset about that?
Marcel is shame, blaming, and explaining, and Mary Ann Dixon is not getting upset because nothing took place that would be a logical reason for her to get upset. She's doing a flex. She's flexing. Shut the hell up, Marcel. I want this to be an easy little talk that I'm doing here, and then I want to go home, and you're messing it up by making me have to answer and be accountable for these questions. Shut up. You're inconveniencing me. That's why it would make her upset. That's why I would make her make people upset. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, Marcel hit her with the history, facts. You know what I'm saying? Which is what he's supposed to do, and he did the right thing, and he did a good job. Shame, blame, and explain will not work unless you have a way to implement consequences.
I mean, come on, you start asking questions. Is that only a small number came to the United States of America, and with the help that the United States gave them, to help the creation of Israel and all of that, that's a lot of help. If we was given that same
shame, blame, and explain. Look what you did for these people. Look what you did for these people. Why can't you do it for us? Why can't you do it for us? They can't, won't, and will not, because the socially engineered United States was engineered with us as the cement foundation. We're the foundational slab of the American capitalist system, the American capitalist machine. We're the base of it. We're the support system of it. They will never do that, because what happens if you take the base or the support out of a structure? It falls. Untitled says Ukrainians getting housing vouchers, SSI, food stamps, and still got the nerve to say they're not comfortable living around black people in America and Europe. They're more comfortable living next to Russia, who's tearing their country up, than they are living next to black people who've never done anything except for gave them money to get horrible medical education and then in turn get pushed off of trains. You think you're going to shame, blame, and explain people that use that kind of logic into anything?
same help, we would be in a better position as well. If we were left alone to raise our families and do what we need to do and not be harassed by the police. And
if we would just, you know, if tigers just wouldn't eat meat and wouldn't be such fierce predators, I mean, I could have a tiger as a house cat. I could have a tiger as my pet at my home. If only they wouldn't be predators. If only they wouldn't attack things. We're sitting up here saying, if only these people just wouldn't do what they do. Shame, blame, and explain. You're not going to change them. What don't people understand about that? You know what I'm saying? Oh, you know, I would love bees. I would have a pet bee if only they didn't sting. It's just if only they didn't sting. Yeah, if only. You think you're going to go and shame a bee into not stinging you? Well, you know, I have an anaphylactic reaction. I actually like your colors, and I want to be your friend. Zzz. Bee ain't trying to hear that shit.
And not our kids not being messed over in the school system, we'll be in the same position as well. So she knows better than that. And then for her to be presenting, she wants to present.
Yes. Yeah. Philip Scott is speaking some facts. She knows better than that. Yeah. Yeah. She knows better than that, and shame, blamed it, and explained didn't work on this modern modern Mary. Shame, blame, and explain didn't work on modern Mary. Now, did it? Because these modern women gonna do what they want to do. You know what I'm saying? Modern Mary wasn't trying to hear none of that shame, blame, and explain, was she? She gonna do what she want to do, and what she wants to do is not pay black people reparations. So she's gonna go kamikaze. She gonna go right into a building, call Marcel an anti-Semite. Really? Because he brought up a fact? And that fact wasn't even a fact that was critical of the J community. It was a fact that was critical of the United States government. Really? Ann Williamson is taking part in the whole economy and is paying. It's just not paying black people reparations. Shame, blame, and explain.
The reparations plan, but the reparations is clearly, you know, not even scratching the surface on what it could be for black Americans. But for me, she played her hand. And, you know, I wasn't voting for Democrats anyway, because Democrats, you know, just really, you know, lost me, you know, just the things they've done. I mean, please, you could get me to vote for those people. You watch my podcast, I even said at this point, you vote for Democrats, you're a straight up raccoon at this point, because Democrats are really disrespected black people.
Shame, blame, and explain. Liberals do the same shit. You're not going to shame, blame, and explain a liberal into anything. So now shout out to my man, TD Hip Hop Media. As you guys know, TD Hip Hop Media is the fam. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to look at some receipts that TD Hip Hop Media put up in a video that he posted on when did he post this video? He posted this video 11 months ago. All right. And this video is titled Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders secured $72 million for Event H survivors, yet oppose reparations for slavery. Well, shame, blame, and explain. You know what I'm saying? Shame, blame, and explain. You know what I'm saying? PSBE. PSBE. Political shame, blame, and explain. You know what I'm saying? Untitled said SBE never gonna work. Gotta cut the check to a representative or a senator like Byron Donalds to get reparations or get our other issues out. I agree with that. I actually believe that would have limited results. We still have to get a degree of control in order for it to be completely 100% effective. But I do believe that that's an effective start. And I believe that that's a lot better and a lot more intelligent and probably a lot more productive than what we're doing right now. Because right now it's just SBE Cope Fest. Everything is an SBE Cope Fest. Cope Fest 2023. You know what I'm saying? I hope it doesn't go into 2024. Let me see. TD be talking shit. I'm gonna put this video up here on one. I'm put TD be talking shit. I'm gonna put this video up to 1.25.
In last week's video titled Kamala Harris announces $1.9 billion migration fund for Central America and $0 for the Black community, I briefly alluded to how Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and the Democrats at large can do whatever they want to do if they really want to do it. And what I want to do today is continue.
They can do whatever they want to do if they want to do it, which means that you're not going to shame, blame, and explain them into any damn thing. Modern women, shout out to Modern Harris, you know what I'm saying? You think I'm going to do something only for Black people? No. Shame, blame, and explain. Don't work. Modern Harris, you know what I'm saying? Modern Harris going to do what Modern Harris want to do. She did it the entire time when she was a politician in California, bending the legal system to her coffee breaks. You guys remember when civil rights leaders were on the Zoom phone call and they tried to shame, blame, and explain to Joe Biden? How'd that go? How'd that work? How'd that work, guys? Has anything changed? Has anything changed since the Zoom shame, blame, and explain? I don't think anything has. But that's a question for you guys. What's changed since the Zoom shame, blame, and explain?
You building on that point by highlighting how Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton, and the Democrats at large were able to secure a total of $72 million in reparations payments for Holocaust survivors. Now, as I detailed in my video titled Joe Biden Dismisses Reparations Again, so why are Black Americans voting for him? Joe Biden has always been vehemently opposed to paying out reparations to the descendants of American slavery. And what I want to do right now is play a clip from that video.
Shame, blame, and explain. So now we continue to confront these people and say, but you did this for this group, did that for that group, did this for this group, did that for that group, did this for this group, did that for that group. And these politicians keep giving people the same responses. They keep giving them the same answers. But people continue to use the political shame, blame, and explain strategy. They will still go and vote for the Democrats. Right. And then after they go and vote for the Democrats, then shame, blame, and explain. Well, you should be doing this. The Democrats going to say, well, we got other shit to do. We just needed your vote. We don't need anything else from you. Have a good day. People ain't gonna like talking about political shame, blame, and explain because it points the finger on where the real problem is. People's lack of investment and people's lack of attentiveness to their own destiny, which is one of the reasons why I say many people should just cop. Just cop to the fact that you're lying. Just cop to the fact that you don't want shit different. Stop wasting people's time. I could be sitting up here streaming about some ratchet shit that's actually funny and enjoyable. But instead, I feel like there's an obligation to attempt to try to put good information out because people claim to be interested in a change. For as interested as people are in a change, it's fascinating how shit doesn't change. You know what I'm saying? My man Torian says, wouldn't it be something if collectively black people didn't vote for the Democrats in 2024? PC got wind of it and mass voted for them to spite us. They absolutely will. They would absolutely do that. The thing is, we would see all of these conclusions come to pass if people would just do the shit. If people acted like they actually comprehended the shit that's said in a lot of the videos and a lot of the books, but for some reason they don't. And the fact that they don't, that's why I say people should just cop. Stop. Just cop. You think we'd be out of a job? You think we won't be able to make other content? You know what I'm saying? We'll be able to make other content. We'll figure out other shit we can talk about. But stop wasting our time with this bullshit. If people want to shame, blame, and explain because it looks good, and like my man, the geek surgeon said, it's entertaining, then continue to entertain yourself with shame, blame, and explain. But the people who want to shame, blame, and explain and not get shit, y'all make the damn content about the shit. Waste your time. You go buy a StreamYards account. You go read articles and sob over it. Stop wasting our time. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know if anybody's aware. I'll be happy to show people my YouTube analytics, but this kind of shit doesn't pay. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. Anybody who's expecting to do this kind of content on YouTube and get rich off of it, man, somebody lied to you. That shit's not going to happen. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to turn into the next Young Turks. You're not going to turn into the next Daily Wire. You're not going to turn into the next Steven Crowder. You'll be fortunate if you get 100,000 subscribers. That's just the reality. If it's not the reality, then show me evidence of otherwise.
Where I read Biden's direct quote on reparations from an interview he did back in 1975. In 1975, when Joe Biden was asked about reparations, he replied this: "I don't feel responsible for the sins of my father and grandfather. I feel responsible."
So now Joe Biden is on the same time as Ann Williamson. Ann Williamson said, "I'm going to protect my ancestors." And as you can see, Joe Biden is protecting his ancestors. I don't need to acknowledge anything that was done by my forefathers. Bet. You think you're going to shame, blame, and explain somebody that thinks that what their forefathers did has nothing to do with the current way that the world is today? How is it that you give your forefathers credit for the creation of the country, but you don't give your forefathers credit for the things that they did that contributed to the creation of this country? Slavery contributed to the creation of this country. So if your forefathers are great, and your forefathers did everything to quote unquote build this country, well, then what is it that they did in the process of that building? You can't remove part of that. So the forefathers are relevant when we're talking about patriotism and 1776, you know what I'm saying, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and there's this little shit that they did called slavery, black genocide, and Jim Crow. But I don't feel guilty for that. But I feel like I can take part in the greatness of what America is. How does that work? How does that make sense? Somebody make that make sense to me. What am I doing right now? Right now, I'm shame, blaming, and explaining because I'm explaining something that makes perfect sense. And I'm expecting somebody that I have no way of enforcing consequences over to cop to what I'm saying. Never gonna happen.
For what the situation is today. for the sins of my own generation, and I will be damned if I feel responsible to pay for what happened 300 years ago. Now, despite the fact that the sins of his generation is Jim Crow, to which the survivors are still very much alive today and are owed reparations, I find it very interesting that Biden would be damned if he felt responsible for paying for the sins of his grandfather and father, yet had no problems paying for the sins of another country.
Shame, blame, and explain. Shame, blame, and explain. Now we got we have the screenshot here of where Ann Williamson flat out lied to Marcel Dixon. Ann Williamson flat out lied to Marcel Dixon. Let me ask you guys a question. Are we in agreement on that? Do we agree that Ann Williamson flat out lied to Marcel Dixon? If we agree that that took place, give me a thumbs up. If we disagree and that didn't take place, then give me a thumbs down. That absolutely took place. Shame, blame, and explain. Doesn't matter if it took place or not. We don't have the consequences to enforce the fact that she needs to face a consequence because she's lying. One of the consequences we can do is publicly come out and show that we do not support her. We don't think that she's legitimate and she's a liar. But the effects of us doing that probably are negligible. But it does show that we're doing something. But the effects of it will probably be negligible. Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys haven't smashed the like button, please take a moment. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, make sure you guys hit the bell. And also, please make sure you guys share the stream to your social media and make sure that you subscribe to my backup channels.
Now, I've often referenced this article on how the U.S. government secured reparations for Holocaust survivors, but I never actually read the article to you. So let's give it a quick read so we can see how this $12 million in reparations payments came to be. Obama administration earmarks $12 million for Holocaust survivors, funds to be distributed over 5 years.
So now, didn't Ann Williamson say that the United States doesn't pay any money to this particular population? Didn't she say that? Didn't we listen to her say that to Marcel Dixon? Somebody help me out here. Somebody help me out here. If we listened to her say this to Marcel Dixon, give me a thumbs up. If we didn't hear her say this to Marcel Dixon, give me a thumbs down. I'm pretty sure she said to Marcel Dixon, well, the United States government, they don't pay those people a check. That's never happened. I'm pretty sure that Ann Dixon said that. Cameron said, yeah, maybe she made a mistake. I think she did make a mistake. She made a mistake running.
1/4 of 130,000 U.S. victims of Nazi persecution live under poverty line. The Obama administration has awarded $12 million for assistance to Holocaust survivors. The allocation from the Department of Health and Human Services to the Jewish Federation of North America to be distributed over 5 years is part of an initiative launched in late 2013 by Vice President Joe Biden.
Boom. Boom. So now let me ask you guys a question. Do you think that Ann Williamson should be called to the carpet and forced to answer for this inaccuracy, this nonsense that she said? If you ask me, I think she should. You don't get to run off into the sunset and just say this nonsense and never address it. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? She should have to answer for this. Now, how do we get her to answer for it? Shame, blame, and explain. She's not going to answer for it because she don't have to. You know what I'm saying? So now, again, you know, people are going to be butthurt and people are going to say stuff and people are going to make streams. I don't care about none of that. Debunk what I'm saying. That's what I care about. Debunk what I'm saying. Show me where I'm incorrect. Show me where anything that I said is untrue, misleading, or false. That's the only thing that matters. Whatever kind of creative names people can come up with, whatever kind of creative doxing or narrative people can come up with, that's not important. Show me where I'm wrong. That's what's important. The Obama administration has awarded $12 million in assistance to Event H survivors. The allocation from the Department of Health and Human Services to the J Federation of North America to be dispersed over 5 years is part of an initiative launched in late 2013 by Vice President Joe Biden to address the needs of survivors in the United States, a quarter of whom live below the poverty line. A quarter of whom. That means that 3/4 of them don't. How did we contribute to that? How did we contribute to that? That's the question. What does that have to do with us? Let me know in the comment section.
To address the needs of survivors in the United States, a quarter of whom live below the poverty line. Well, look at good old Joe, securing reparations exclusively for Holocaust survivors, not people of color, minorities, and marginalized groups, but exclusively for Holocaust survivors.
Let me ask you guys a question. How important do you all feel that this kind of information is for people to watch and people to pay attention to and people to respond to and interact and start conversations about? How important is it? If you guys feel that this is important information, take a moment, smash that like button, share the video to your social media, and share the video to your community page. And give me a thumbs up or a flame in the comment section. If you ask me, I think that this is pretty important. Maybe not so much based on anything that I said, because who the hell am I? What I have to say doesn't matter. What's important is that people need to start paying attention to this and doing this kind of assessment on these kind of things on their own and come up with new data and new information on their own. Now we have it on record, undeniable, regardless whether people want to use the content or not, that Mary Ann Williamson is a liar. We've created new information. So now we have information to add to the think tank, to the collective of information. Shout out to Carla, what's good with it? And shout out to John Davis and Emperor Rex, what's good with you? You know what I'm saying? And that's the point. That's the point. That's the reason why it's so important for people to not only make these YouTube videos, share these YouTube videos, and talk about this stuff, because a lot of this kind of stuff happens out of order. And then what ends up having to happen is that we have to put it back in order to be able to analyze it appropriately. Mary Ann Williamson lied. And if more people knew who Marcel Dixon was and what Marcel Dixon has done and how he's tried to advocate, there should be a outrage about the way that he was treated. That should motivate people to want to be able to create some means to where people can enact consequences to what it is that we shame, blame, and explain about. Shame, blame, and explain is nothing more than empty words unless you have ways of getting consequences behind the quote-unquote shame, blaming, and things that you have to explain. But that's not what's going on. And shout out to you guys for hitting that ×5 combo.
If Biden was able to do this as vice president under Barack Obama, then there is literally no excuse for why he can't secure reparations for the survivors of Jim Crow. No excuse at all whatsoever. When speaking about...
Here's the only excuse. Because he doesn't have to. And you can't make me. I mean, that's literally it. I don't have to, and you can't make me. That's it. That is the only reason for anything that goes down. I want everybody to understand that. None of these other reasons are true. None of these other reasons matter. Oh, well, we might mess up the economy. You're not going to mess up the economy. That's already been proven. Well, you know, everybody might get upset at black people. Everybody is in a is in a normal state of being upset with black people. The United States was based when it was created based on hatred of black people. So that's nothing new. Like, nobody cares. Shame, blaming, and explaining is not going to work for the 90 millionth time. You know what I'm saying? The only reason that we ever get a no, which we will always get a no as long as we're asking, and the reason why we'll always get a no is because they can say no to remind you who's in power, is that we don't feel like it, we don't have to, and you're not going to make us. Now, the thing is that we can come up with ways to make them, but nobody's trying to come up with those ways to make them. Everybody's trying to take the workaround and go directly to asking them, shame, blame, and explain, hoping that shame, blame, and explain, they'll shed some tears with us. Newsflash. I don't know if people have been asleep for the last couple centuries, but that's not going to happen.
About Jim Crow, those are the sins of Joe Biden's generation, to which reparations is owed. Now let's continue reading. Combined with matching private funds, the approximately $2.5 million per year over 5 years will support $4.1 million in programming annually for organizations that help Holocaust survivors, the JFNA said. Now, that last sentence is important because this is how the U.S. government is consistently able to bypass the entire legislative process, just like the $1.9 billion that Kamala Harris secured for Central American countries in order for them to, and I quote, provide hope for people in the region to build safe and prosperous lives at home.
Now, look at this. Combined with matching private funds, the approximately 2.5 per million over the 5 years will support $4.1 million in programming annually for organizations that help Event H survivors. We can do this. We ain't got nothing for you. Shame, blame, and explain. I mean, who cares? There's a pattern of that. We got this for them, nothing for you. Shame, blame, and explain. Clearly doesn't work. But coming up with shame, blame, and explain, and using those talking points and selling those talking points and selling people on a dream that those talking points may work, that's a lucrative business. That's a lucrative business. You know what I'm saying?
This is also what you see here in the sentence where it reads, combined with matching private funds. I want you to pay attention to this pattern of how they use private funding to bypass legislation. You see, because it's private funding, it can be used however they see fit. And there's nothing the courts can do about it as far as locking the money up in litigation is concerned, as you sue the government on grounds of being unconstitutional, because the money technically did not come from the government. They're just working alongside the private sector and or private donors.
So now if you own the board and you own the game and you own all of the pieces, you can change the rules the way that you want to. So now we're mixing government and private funds. But remember, Ann Williamson just went full Karen and said that this never happened. Shout out to Mama Zeke. What's good with it? Now, here's my I don't think that we even need to have an argument. Any kind of argument is shame, blame, and explain. We're sitting here trying to tell people that have literally shown they have no interest, not only in doing right by us from the past, but doing right by us currently. They have no interest in it. Why do we feel that we need to continue to talk to a brick wall? Let me ask you a question. If you talk to a brick wall in English and the brick wall doesn't respond, then you talk to the brick wall in Spanish and the brick wall doesn't respond. Then you talk to the brick wall in Russian. You talk to it in Arabic. Then you start barking at it. Then you start chirping at it like it's a bird. You do all this different stuff and it doesn't respond. Is the wall the problem or are you the problem? You want to keep talking to a wall that's clearly not going to respond. So what you need to start doing now is working on breaking the integrity of that wall, not continuing to try to talk to it. You get the sledgehammer. An argument is a feather. You get the sledgehammer. This is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Why does anybody still circulate ideas that have clearly failed? These ideas have fallen flat on their face with a bloody nose and a pool of blood that you're face down on choking in. Why are people still trying to do it? That's the question. This is why I say people need to cop. Cop. Or change.
To help facilitate the distribution of these funds. But technically, the funding is not from the U.S. government itself.
Facts. If you guys agree with Cameron, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree with Cameron, give me a thumbs down. A bully doesn't care what you want to talk about. And a bully doesn't have to listen until you make them listen. We could come up with all of the best justifications in the world and get a top tier legal system. And at the end of the day, it cannot be enforced. At the end of the day, it'll break down to, well, we don't feel like it and we're not gonna. So we're just not. Then what? How many times has any of these kind of things broken down into that? Literally every single time. Look at the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. And it's going to be bipartisan support. It's going to be bipartisan support with the uncooperation. Now, here's my question for you, Emperor. What did Dr. Claude Anderson say the purpose of the Supreme Court was? And anybody in the comment section can answer this question for me. What did Dr. Claude Anderson say the purpose of the Supreme Court was for? And I also need to know, is this going to be one of those times where we just don't listen to Dr. Claude Anderson, but any other time we just hashtag and type in random shit that Dr. Claude Anderson said, which I need to know what time this is so I know how to continue about what I'm going to do with what I'm talking about here. Are we going to honestly quote Dr. Claude Anderson, or are we going to act like he didn't say this shit? What did Dr. Claude Anderson say about the Supreme Court? Dr. Claude Anderson, he said that the Supreme Court is to uphold white supremacy and solidify white power. So now my question is, what is the Supreme Court going to do with anything that we introduce? Because if we introduce anything, it's going to break up white power. And if the Supreme Court is there to uphold white power, then it's clearly going to reject anything that's possibly beneficial for us. So why even waste time with it? Shame, blame, and explain. Well, you did wrong. So what? We can do wrong. That's the point. We won. The point is that we won. Shout out to my man Alonzo Griffin. In fact, make sure you guys smash those likes. That's the whole I'm white and I say so. Why do so many people sit there and talk about I'm white and I say so, and then you say, well, I'm going to take this proposal to this white person. I'm going to take this great portfolio of arguments that I created to the I'm white and I say so courthouse. Because for this particular situation, I'm going to act like I'm white and I say so don't exist. Who's been teaching people to move like this over these years? And are those people that have been teaching people to move like that accountable for the current day failures? I'm going to take this clipboard of all these demands to the I'm white and I say so people. Now, remember, when I'm talking about why things don't go my way, it's I'm white and I say so. But for some reason, I'm going to provide this amazing proposal to these same I'm white and I say so people. And in this situation, they're not going to I'm white and I say so. That's a little bit delusional. That's a little bit delusional. You know what I'm saying?
Understand, if the government really wants to do something, then by hook or by crook, they will find a way to get it done. So when it comes to something as simple as the Black grassroots demanding an anti-Black hate crime bill in the wake of the anti-Black racist Buffalo shooting, the Democrats ignoring your cries for that is their way of saying, F you, you're not getting anything because we don't respect you nor you're deceased. Now let's finish out the rest of this article, then we'll move on to Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. After Biden launched the initiative in 2013, the White House in 2014 named a special envoy to the community to coordinate volunteer activities to assist the survivors. Some 130,000 Holocaust survivors are living in the United States today, according to the U.S. government estimates. Really let this sit on your mind.
So TD put out a great video, right? Shout out to TD. Everybody throw some flames in the chat for TD. TD put out a great video. And this video, in an easy to digest format, lays out the facts. This video could be used to debunk Ann Williamson's lie very easily, very clearly, right? But here's the problem. Ann Williamson is allowed to lie, and there's nothing you can do about it. So what does it matter? Shout out to Fantizzy. What's good with it, bro? What does it matter? See, that's the question right there. Political shame, blame, and explain. Shame, blame, and explain only works for YouTubers. I've seen YouTubers shame, blame, and explain their audience for super chats and cash apps and donations. And I've seen them get significant amounts of money in small amounts of time, talking crazy to their audience, talking like, you know what I'm saying, insane. And for some reason, that shame, blame, and explain works. Y'all better do something. You know what I'm saying? The channel support looking kind of low. The donations looking low. I ain't had a cash app in a minute. I ain't had a super chat in a minute. I'm gonna have to end this stream. How many times y'all hear that shit? And then what happens? They shame, blame, and explain the audience. Man, you got me bent. You see that shit happen all over the YouTube. Now here go the thing, right? Ain't nothing wrong with that. If that works, that's what's up, because you're supposed to be trying to get financial engagement on your channel. But I haven't seen shame, blame, and explain really work anywhere else, though. I haven't seen it work anywhere, especially politically. I've seen it work on YouTube, but I ain't seen it work anywhere else. And that's one of the reasons why I say YouTube talking points will get you waxed in the real world. Yeah, I'm going to end the live if I don't get my likes up. Hit the cash app. That's some shit that you ain't never heard me say. You know what I'm saying? That's some shit that you ain't never heard me say. But it's very often that you see a full line of super chats on my shit either. Shame, blame, and explain. I could shame, blame, and explain motherfuckers like, yo, do this, do that. I ain't got time for that shit. I'm here because I want to tell you all about certain information. I want to be able to do more. I want to be able to say more. I want to be able to have more and better quality. And that'll come one of 2, 3, 4, 5 ways. It is what it is. I ain't pressed. Shame, blame, and explain. Those content creators have that ability because psychologically they're subscribers feel that it's a consequence to not be able to enjoy their content. So they will be shamed into providing whatever kind of support it is that they're being asked for at the moment. Psychological, P, SBE. Political, SBE. Political shame, blame, and explain. Shout out to my man, Kid Gravity. Let me see this. Hold on real quick. Now, I got to ask Kid Gravity this. Kid Gravity, do you want to talk about this on the stream that me or on the video that me and you are doing, or did you want me to show this right now? We got to get him. Yeah. I'm down. You already know I'm down. You know what I'm saying?
For a moment. Joe Biden single-handedly delivered reparations to Holocaust survivors, while the remaining 3 survivors of the Tulsa race massacre are fighting it out in court for theirs at 103 years old. How sick is that? How wicked is that? These elders are in their hundreds, not their 80s or their 90s. They're in their hundreds, and they have to be wheelchaired into court to fight for their reparations, while Biden handed Holocaust survivors reparations for an injustice that occurred in another country across the ocean.
Shame, blame, and explain. Shame, blame, and explain. I want to know who made that song. I want to know who is that. Who is that? Who made that song? Is that Keith Sweat? Who made that song? LSG? Look at this. I want to know. Has shame, blame, and explain ever worked in politics? The only thing shame, blame, and explain is doing is making people rich that say that you'll be able to get salvation through shame, blaming, and explaining the dominant society. And shout out to Katsy. Katsy said, I'm sorry, I didn't see a notification. Yo, let me know real quick, guys. If you all got a notification, give me a radiation emoji or a bell in the comment section. If you guys didn't, give me an angry face or a thumbs down. That's a fact. Untitled said, sell your melanin. White folks will definitely give a check for that. I mean, that's what every company pays for in the United States anyway. So, yeah, I agree with that. You know what I'm saying? That's a fact. Yeah, have you guys all done the survey about the notifications in the comment section? If you guys haven't done the survey in the comment section about the notifications, please take a moment and make sure you guys do that real quick.
You know, I normally don't say this in the middle of a video, but please, please, please share this with your family and friends who ran to the polls to vote for Biden, and highlight.
Okay, bet. I'll show it.
This one particular point that I just made regarding the Tulsa race massacre survivors. And if this one point alone doesn't open their eyes to Biden and the Democrats, then honestly, nothing will at this point. Now let's jump.
Biden and the Democrats. All right. Ann Williamson is a Democrat. So she's on the same time. She is on the same time. Don't let nobody fool you. You know what I'm saying? Don't let nobody fool you. She is on the exact same time.
Straight into the next article titled, Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton both supported reparations, just not for American slavery.
So now what's this? So now, again, here's my question. How are we going to get Ann Williamson to address this? People should tweet this YouTube video and tag Ann Williamson in it and say, explain this. Explain why you're sitting up here calling Marcel Dixon anti-Semitic when you're sitting up here being anti-truth. How are people being, how is Marcel Dixon being anti-Semitic and Ann Williamson is being anti-truth? How does that work? I mean, if she's telling the truth, then she should be able to easily do a presentation and debunk this live stream that I've done. Right? Would you guys agree with that? And shout out to Carla. Make sure you guys help Carla out answering the bots.
Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders caused a stir when he told Fusion that he does not support reparations for slavery on the grounds that such a program would be very divisive and would never pass Congress. Ta-Nehisi Coates, a national...
It would be very divisive and never pass Congress. Shame, blame, and explain. Shame, blame, and explain. And I got and Untitled says fastest way to get black men in trouble is to hit them with the anti-J tag. Ask Kyrie and Kanye. Yeah, I agree. If you guys agree with that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down. I didn't even mean to do that. But there you go. The bots. I got the bots. Shame, blame, and explaining, y'all. Shout out to Fantizzy for answering the stream elements. Yeah, I got the bots up here. Shame, blame, and explaining, y'all. That's right. They telling y'all right.
National Book Award winner and writer for The Atlantic, who wrote a widely read article in 2014 making the case for reparations, was among those who took Sanders to task. Now, here's the important part. 4 years ago, though, Sanders did support a form of reparations, not for the...
Now, shout out to Tedra. Tedra said, it's crazy that sometimes I get a notification and sometimes I don't get one. Make sure you guys hit that link in the comment section. Subscribe over on Rumble. Download the Rumble app. Subscribe on Twitch. Subscribe on Facebook. All you got to do is go to the About page and hit my other social media, my Twitter. You know what I'm saying? You'll get a notification from somewhere. That's how we get most of the people in here that we get. Most people don't come in here from their notifications that they get on YouTube, at least according to the analytics. Most people come in here from the notifications that they get outside, like Twitch. Now that there's more people subscribing to the Rumble channel, people getting the notifications on Rumble, Facebook. You know what I'm saying? So make sure you guys follow me and all my backup channels on the other platform or on the other accounts so that you guys never miss a notification.
Descendants of African slaves and victims of injustice against African Americans, but for Holocaust survivors and the families of those who were killed. Now, mind you, Bernie Sanders, like Joe Biden, is also vehemently against reparations for the descendants of American slavery. When Sanders was running for president in 2019, this man would get visibly upset when you asked him about reparations. And every time he was asked about it, he would always respond by saying, "What do you mean by that?" How many of you all remember that? Literally every time he was asked about reparations, in an extremely condescending tone, he would ask the interviewer, "Well, what do you mean by that?"
What do you mean by that? TD, what do you mean by that? You know what I'm saying? Next time we do Just Talking with TD and Rob, anytime TD asks me a question, I'm going to ask him, what do you mean by that? Now, remember, we're supposed to be data gathering, and shout out to John and shout out to Fantizzy for answering the bots. Appreciate it. You guys helped him out. So now, I think that we need to start collecting a database of politicians who have inappropriate responses, right? Because we can't say that the answers are inappropriate, right? We should expect most politicians to not be interested in doing anything that we want them to, right? So if a politician says no to reparations, I'm not going to say that that's an inappropriate response. I'm just going to say what that response is no to reparations. An inappropriate response is if you get completely out of your element and feel that you need to attack me or come towards me. Start calling me anti-Semitic. If you're not answering if somebody says, do you think that Black Americans should get reparations? And the person says no and goes about their business. They simply said no. I disagree with their no, but they said no. They didn't change in their temperament. They didn't change in their tone. They just said no and kept it moving. That's very different from someone who goes over the edge, over the top, like Jim Clyburn or Ann Williamson, and gets offended by you asking about it. Getting offended about a question about reparations, that's an inappropriate response. And ultimately, they never even answered the question. And shout out to John Davis for answering the Nightbot. They never even answered a question. Isn't that weird? How does that work? They don't never even answer the question. The person that simply says no, at least they answered the question. Right? But the people that get offended, they never even answer the question. They're answering a question with the question. Well, what do you mean by that? Like TD said, oh, what do you mean by that?
Condescending tone, he would ask the interviewer, well, what do you mean by that?
What do you mean by that?
Your position specifically on reparations. I asked the question because Elizabeth Warren, Julian Castro, they've indicated they want
what
to
does that mean? What do they mean? I'm not sure that anyone's very clear. What I've just said is.
Now, they sound a lot like the Republicans that, and you will see this on the content that me and Kid Gravity do. Now, Bernie Sanders and Marianne Williamson are buddies. So if people were actually aware of politics the way that they should be aware, and if they actually had done their due diligence and they knew about these people, they would know that Marianne Williamson is using reparations as a trick bag. Why would anybody use reparations as anything other than a trick bag when shame, blame, and explain we can't force them to pay? So here's the question. Same question that I always ask. Here we are. Now what? Now what? Marianne Williamson is even lying about, I mean, she lied and said that the United States government never wrote a check for Event H survivors. I mean, she said that. You know who feeling the burn right now? Officer Megan Hall. She definitely is feeling that burn. I hope she's taking some nice high-dose penicillin. You know what I'm saying?
It's very clear. What I've just said is that I think we must do everything that we can to address the massive level of disparity that exists in this country.
I'll tell you what they mean, because Elizabeth Warren has said blackface.
And shout out to my man Cameron Jones watching over on Rumble. If people want to be moderators, if people want moderation privileges over on Rumble, you guys need to go over there and comment so I can copy and paste your name and make you a moderator. That's the only way people are becoming moderators on Rumble, because I don't have any other way of actually doing it. Catsy's a moderator over there. Cameron is a moderator over there. Kid Gravity is a moderator over there. Just Talking with TD and Robb is a moderator over there. If you guys want to be moderators on Rumble, all you got to do is go over there and leave a comment either in the video or after the video, because I need to get your name. There's a reason why I be asking y'all to do the shit that I be asking y'all to do. I can't even help y'all out with shit. You know what I'm saying? Leave comments after the stream.
Families have had a much steeper hill to climb. We need systematic structural changes to address that. Julian Castro has said, I have long thought that this country would be better off if we did find a way to do that. Reparations.
Well, I agree with what Elizabeth said.
So you would support reparations?
But read what she said. What does that mean? She means, I think, I don't want to put words into her mouth, is what.
So now you guys, these are Jedi tricks, what Bernie Sanders is doing. Well, what I'm going to say is I'm going to say yes to this, but I mean, who wouldn't say yes to that? Because I'm going to say no to that. So, I mean, if people are saying yes and no, I mean, that leaves me where I can't really say anything. I mean, what do you say? I mean, how many people have heard this babble before? This is bank babble. You know what I'm saying? We'll call this bank babble. You know what I'm saying? Nah, this ain't mayo babble. This is like dill sauce babble. You know what I'm saying? Cream cheese babble.
What I said.
Why not support reparations?
Well, what do you mean by reparations?
By reparations for.
What do you mean by that? See, now that's how we'll deal with it. We'll just act like we don't know what we're talking about. See, this is a tactic. Remember, that's the reason why when we talked about the debate between Rollo Tomasi and Destiny and Sneeko, I was talking about debate tactics. Recognizing and understanding these debate tactics, it doesn't help you if you've recognized them after they've already been effective on derailing whatever conversation it is that you're trying to have or whatever talking points it is that you're trying to make. But, you know, people say, don't talk about that type of content. Talk about this type of content. I'm going to talk about whatever kind of content I want to talk about. And the reason I talk about whatever kind of content that I want to talk about is because the kind of content and the way that I talk about the content, it all ties in together. And when you're living in a world where the entire world is trying to attack you, you need to understand a panoramic understanding of everything. Not just the kind of content people want to listen to. Because how many people want to listen to, you're not getting shit. Despite the fact that the you're not getting shit videos do great numbers on YouTube for whatever reason, I don't think that people really enjoy not getting shit. You know what I'm saying?
Slave defense.
I know, but what does that mean exactly?
Money.
But when it came to securing reparations for Holocaust survivors, now he knows exactly what reparations are. And one last thing before we continue reading. All of these so-called progressive democratic socialists like AOC, Ilhan Omar, and Ayanna Pressley think and operate the same exact way Bernie Sanders does. Don't let the progressive tag fool you. That goes for Cori Bush and Jamal Bowman too. The Vermont senator joined 18 colleagues in co-sponsoring the Holocaust Rail Justice Act, a bill to help survivors and families sue France's National Railway Company, SNCF, for reparations. A group of victims' families called the Coalition for Holocaust Rail Justice pushed for a decade to get the railway to pay because it carried tens of thousands of Jews and other.
Now, do you see now that community there, the community that they're talking about right there, now they shame, blame, and explain all the time, but it looks different. That their JSBE looks different. Should we talk about JSBE? Now that's actually some SBE. That's how SBE supposed to work. You see, JSBE works. And people get outraged. It's just so horrible what they did to Kanye. It's just so horrible what they did to Kyrie. Who cares? They were able to do it, and they did it. The issue is that we're not able to do it. Why are they able to do it? They're able to do it because if somebody's standing behind the curtain, that implies that they have power to enforce consequences. Shame, blame, and explain only works when you have the power to enforce consequences. So why are people wasting their time with PSBE, with political shame, blame, and explain? People should be using their time wisely to come up with mechanisms and ways of actually enforcing consequences. If you guys agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys disagree, give me a thumbs down.
Prisoners from France to German camps. SNCF officials have apologized and argued that the Nazis forced the railway to do it. The Sanders-sponsored bill never came up for a vote, but in 2014, France agreed to send the U.S. State Department $60 million.
Shout out to Untitled. Shout out to Untitled. Untitled said, consequences can be as severe as taking away and freezing bank accounts. That JSBE hits different. That JSBE will have you on the mat. That JSBE have you off the planet. You know what I'm saying? They're able to do SBE. People are upset that we're not able to do SBE, but the same people that are upset are not willing to dedicate brain power and calories into creating ways of us being able to enforce consequences. Okay, you gotta choose. You gotta make a choice somewhere. Are we copping to we don't really want change? Is that what's going on? Is that what's happening? What are we doing here? See, that's the question.
to be distributed to American Holocaust survivors and victims' families. After the deal was announced, Senator Chuck Schumer, one of the lead sponsors of the Holocaust Rail Justice Act, credited the bill for helping make the payments possible. Once again, the U.S. government found a way to get the money. After the original
Bernie Sanders, one of them folks, Chuck Schumer, one of them folks, make it happen. One hand wash the other. JSBE, make them pay. J, make them pay. That's why they call that jail shit J-Pay. You know what I'm saying? Why do we sit up here and act like we don't understand how this works when everybody understands how it works very clearly? Very clearly. This isn't rocket science. I'm gonna tell you something that you might not know. No spacecraft will make it to another planet as a result of any information that you get from this live stream. Did you guys know that? Are you guys aware of that? If you guys were aware that no technology will send you into interstellar space as a result of anything covered in this stream, if you weren't aware of that, give me a thumbs down. They own the banks. Carla says that they own the banks. They are the bankers. What does that mean? That means that they have the means. That means that they have the power. They have the ability. That SBE, the JSBE, hits different. The JSBE actually hits. You know what I'm saying? That's why it hits different, because it actually hits. It's not a bunch of swings and misses. It actually hits. Cassie said, damn, that's why I was listening. Give me that interstellar info. I know. I'm trying to, if you guys haven't noticed, I'm trying to get back on, you know what I'm saying, putting out content at the intervals that I was before.
Nonprofits spent a decade trying to get those reparations but failed. Bernie Sanders and the Democrats literally strong-armed that $60 million out of France. Sanders is not the only Democratic candidate.
They did what? What did they do?
He strong-armed that $60 million out of France.
What did they do?
Helping make the payments possible. Once again, the U.S. government found a way to get the money. After the original nonprofit spent a decade trying to get those reparations but failed, Bernie Sanders and the Democrats literally strong-armed that $60 million out of France.
So that, I mean, Bernie Sanders and the Democrats could literally strong-arm whatever it is that they wanted to out of the U.S. population too, if they wanted to. But they don't have to, and you can't make me, so we ain't gonna. And these hoes in this hoe economy gonna do what these hoes want to do. Bernie Sanders is a hoe, and he's gonna do what he's gonna do. Shame, blame, and explain. Politics. Let me ask you guys a question. Where's shame, blame, and explain gonna get us in 2024? Let's be the first ones to call it. Right. Untitled said Haiti SBE. Untitled, you got me dying laughing, bro. Untitled said Haiti SBEing France for reparations in France silent. Bro, that's facts. That's facts. Facts. That's the only thing the United States to give you. Shout out to Neely Fuller Jr. A nice cozy grave. Oh, what will white supremacy give you? A nice cozy grave. Shout out to Neely Fuller Jr. I know it wasn't a joke. You know how sometimes when shit don't be a joke, that's when it's the funniest? It was one of them kind of situations. You know what I'm saying? You ever seen some shit you be like, damn, and that shit's not a joke, but it's funny as fuck? Yeah, that was that. You know what I'm saying? Toria said, what the people need to do is watch us every time they turn that TV to CNN, MSNBC, or the Sambos who entertain Fox News. it gives them a little zap. I agree 110%. And that's one of the reasons why I keep saying when people are the victims of these questionable issues that go on, you know what I'm saying? Instead of going to the shame, blame, and explain white media, they need to come talk to us. But they keep shame, blame, and explaining to the white media. Well, you know, they shouldn't have killed my baby. Don't nobody give a fuck about your baby except you. And we can't sit there and say, you stop doing that. Because they're going to say, make us. So we got to be making them do some shit. And that's what TD is talking about in this video. Bernie Sanders and the Democrats, France said, make us. They said, bet. We strong-armed you. What did Capone and Noriega say? Give up the goods or get paid. No, who is that? That was Mobb Deep that said that. Give up the goods or get sprayed. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why that shit's I don't know why this was so fucking funny. That's what I'm talking about that shit that's not supposed to be funny that actually is. Haiti SBEing France for reparations and France silent. Man, that's so that's like facts. That's fucked up, but it's true. That shit is real. They SBEing the hell out of France, and France like next on the menu, like what? You know what I'm saying? And people still don't get it. They don't get it, man. It's centuries of evidence that supports this shit. Not just one or two events, not just one or two news articles. I'm talking about this whole evolutionary period's worth of evidence proving this.
Failed, Bernie Sanders and the Democrats literally strong-armed that $60 million out of France. Sanders is not the only Democratic candidate who supports Holocaust reparations without supporting reparations for atrocities that happen on American soil.
Look at this. Look at this. This is 2016. Brown and Black Democratic Presidential Forum, the Iowa Brown and Black Forum. What has that produced? What tangible anything has that produced? It's not there to produce anything tangible, but what has it produced? Is it going to produce anything? I'm telling you, we have been doing political SBE. $60 million to France is a penny in a bucket to them. Facts. But like my man down there, like my man said, you know what I'm saying? Like my man Untitled said, Haiti sitting up there SBEing the shit out of France. France silent. You know what I'm saying? France silent. They like, zip. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because we ain't even gonna talk about this shit. If you're not about to make us do the shit, we ain't about to talk about this shit. We hear you. Good luck. Good riddance.
Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton was asked about slavery reparations at Fusion's Iowa Brown and Black Forum and did not give a direct answer. She argued instead for more investment in underprivileged communities, citing a proposal from the Congressional Black Caucus. Clinton, too, has a history of explicit support for Holocaust reparations. During her husband's administration, she was given an award by the World Jewish Congress for helping obtain reparations from the Swiss and German governments.
Now, why do you guys think that happened? Now, what is Ann Williamson talking about? Ann Williamson said that Marcel Dixon was sitting there espousing anti-Semitic tropes. Ann Dixon said that Marcel Dixon was sitting there espousing anti-Semitic tropes. Here goes my question. Is that true? What, did that happen? Was that going on? What did you all see when Ann Dixon and Marcel confronted each other? What did you all see there?
Hillary Clinton and the Democrats strong-armed reparations out of the Swiss and German government. Once again, look at how the Democrats will find a way to make things happen if that's what they really want to do. Some advocates for Holocaust reparations said they felt that Clinton's contributions were overstated and that the award was political. Clinton herself played down her role in winning the payments, but was clear in her support for the payments. During her 2000 Senate campaign, Clinton was asked about the award, her position on Holocaust reparations, and whether she would endorse slavery reparations. Without answering directly, she said that we have some mental and emotional and psychological reparations to pay first.
We don't have to. No, I'm not. I don't mean to keep saying Ann Dixon. I mean Ann Williamson. I keep mixing her name and Marcel's name up. Good catch, Black Magic. I'm gonna put the link to the video in the chat, Carla. Let me see. Hold on real quick. Let me grab it real quick. Let's see. Hold on. Real quick, ladies and gentlemen, while you guys are waiting, make sure you guys smash that like button and hit that bell. And also, if you're not subscribed over on Rumble, hit that link that's pinned in the chat and go over there and subscribe. And if you make comments, I'll be able to add you as a moderator. Let me see. Hold on. Shout out to Vega. What's good with it, Vega? Give me 1 second. Let me see. Let's try this again. Hold on. All right, here we go. Let me see. Copy. I think this should do it. Let me see. All right, it's at this link right here, Carla. Go check that out.
I repeat, Hillary Clinton said, we have some mental and emotional and psychological reparations to pay first. We do owe an apology to African Americans for hundreds of years of slavery, she said, but I think that people I know and the people I work with want us to stay focused on the future.
There you go. So we need to stay focused on the future. They were focused on the future while they were having slaves. And look at the future. Look how the future is now. Shame, blame, and explain. But I got this fact, and I got that fact, and Weezer always gets a beatsa upper. Who cares? Do something about it. That's what you're here for, to get beat up. Do something about it. You're hurting me. That's the point. I'm bullying you. Shame, blame, and explain. So I don't know why people do this. I don't know why politics is still going in this direction. I don't know why people continue to say any of this shit as if any of it matters. When has anybody presenting the government with historical facts ever mattered? Now what the government is doing, because let's not get it twisted, the Republicans and the Democrats are indeed the government. You know what I'm saying? Now they're making it illegal to where you can't even talk about your history. Change the rules in the middle of the game. Shame, blame, and explain. So, okay, like I know I'm related to somebody that's a slave. Okay, and shame, blame, and explain. Got to give alternative facts. Right. Facts. We in the post-truth era. You know what I'm saying? We in the post-truth era, doing post-truth politics. You know what I'm saying? And people think some shit is gonna change. Now, I think it's funny. There's people out there that say that SBE is a grift. I would actually say that the people saying that SBE is a grift, because if you actually cop and realize that if you don't have the power to enforce whatever it is that you're shaming, blaming, or explaining about, then the reason why somebody would say that that's a grift is because that person giving you non-factual information about how to attempt to shame people that you have no power into doing your will, they need to continue doing that in order to get paid. There's no paycheck that comes from showing or talking about where shame, blame, and explain occurs. There's no incentive in doing that. As a matter of fact, there's very little incentive in doing that, because a lot of times it's triggering to people because people don't like hearing about when people have actually figured them out. One of the reasons that people shame, blame, and explain is because people don't want to have to get their hands dirty. People don't want to have to deal with actual confrontation. People don't want to think, you know what I'm saying? And people don't want to put any effort into anything. And people don't have enough self-control or enough planning or strategy ability to create long-term plans for future outcomes. They don't want to do any of that. So cop. But copping sounds bad. So we'll explain everything around shame, blame, and explain and say that we're doing this and we're doing that, and we're not. I'll say, cop. Give us all a break. Let TD Hip Hop Media go back to making hip hop videos. You know what I'm saying? Stop making TD Hip Hop Media make all of these long ass elaborate political videos about trying to help people out and getting some economic progress, when hip hop videos will get 100,000 times the amount of views. Stop wasting people's time. Time is the most valuable resource because it's scarce, it's constantly decreasing, and it's irreplaceable. Facts. And people who don't want the status quo to change are wasting our time by acting as if they're interested in a change while showing no evidence of wanting to make any progress towards a change. You know what I'm saying? People talk about showing respect and stuff like that. The first way to show respect is to be honest. Hey, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to tell you something that you don't want to hear, but you're just wasting your time with this shit. I mean, be honest. Yeah, he did get her. He did get her, but the problem is that he didn't get reparations. Shame, blame, and explain. Yeah, Who Killed Biggie Part 48. Facts. I could be making Who Killed Biggie Part 48 and have people actually watch the shit. You know what I'm saying? The real reason behind why you know what I'm saying, Prodigy allegedly choked on an egg. The hidden hand between the East Coast, West Coast. I mean, I could be making videos like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I said this a long time ago. I'm not here to try to quote unquote roast my way into power, roast my way into, you know, a better situation. Roasting doesn't do anything. Let me ask you guys a question. Have you heard one roast of Kanye West? One roast of Kyrie Irving? I haven't heard of. I haven't at all. Oh, it was a grape. I thought it was an egg. Right. Top top 5 rappers part infinity. You know what I'm saying? The real reason behind Nipsey Hussle's death, part 748. You know what I'm saying? Shit. I could be doing shit like that.
Keep our economy going, keep providing good public education, quality, affordable healthcare, do the things that will enable people to have the best futures for themselves, and that's what I'm committed to doing. Translation, F you and F your reparations. And oh yeah.
There you go. Shame, and to see what TD Hip Hop Media is trying to tell y'all, what CD Hip Hop Media been telling y'all through all of his videos. Shame, blame, and explain don't work. Because see, look, you outside the car and they still inside the car. You know what I'm saying? You outside the car in some tennis shoes and some yoga pants, and they still inside the car. You know what I'm saying? Shame, blame, and explain how you on the side of the road. We on the side of the road. You know what I'm saying? So now you got to ask yourself, if we have all of this evidence that shame, blame, and explain leave you on the side of the road, why are we still doing it? You know what I'm saying? Why are we still doing it? Shout out to TD Hip Hop Media. Man, TD Hip Hop Media has made years of content explaining this principle. Malcolm X talked about it. You know what I'm saying? And we're a large majority of people is still expecting something other than what the consistent pattern of results has shown. I can't ask these people any questions anymore because I already know the answer to all of their questions. I have to ask the people that keep not answering the questions appropriately, the answer to the questions, until we get the appropriate answers. Untitled says, you think reparations is going to get blown away in 5-10 years if distributed today? No, I don't think so. And if it did get blown away, it wouldn't be because, quote unquote, all black people just blew it all away. It would get blown away because of shit like what happened to those people in Manhattan Beach, where they sold where they gave the property back and then changed the rules. We'll give you your property back and then render it unable to use. Torian said, Rob, is because you and TD are not white. There, I said it. Facts. I agree. I agree 110%. Shame, blame, and explain. You know what I'm saying? So, and like I said, that's always the focus of my content. People always say, well, you know, you sound negative and, you know, you're this and you're that. No. You know what I'm saying? I'm not negative. I believe in total control. And you cannot totally control a situation if you open up yourself to allowing other people to have influence on it. Untitled said, if everyone gets $350K today, I think niggas going straight to the Benz dealer. Now, here's my thing, right? There's been black lottery winners that have won the jackpot. Did all of those black lottery winners who won the jackpot go straight to the Benz dealer? And a lottery is mathematically randomly distributed. So it's not like only B1 people or only trash are getting lottery winnings. It's literally as natural as a mathematical distribution as could be possible. Computerized and everything with the random number combinations and all that. Most of the black lottery winners did not go straight to the Benz dealership. So if most of the black jackpot lottery winners didn't go straight to the Benz dealership, and that's completely on a random generation, you don't have any control over who that money went to. It could have went to the worst of the worst or the best of the best or a bunch of people in between. Then why do we assume that everybody in black society is the worst of the worst and that we'd all go to the Benz dealer? Do you see how, like, a lot of times we don't even think properly? Like that's not a proper logical thought based on evidence. But like the thing that's crazy is that like a lot of black people talk about being unapologetically black. People will be unapologetically black and go say this kind of shit to white people on a white platform. That's not the reason why we have a racial wealth gap, because people go straight to the Benz dealership. You know what I'm saying? You know? But who needs Fox News to say this kind of shit when we say it? Shout out to Val Williams. What's good with it, Val? Shout out to A&B Film. What's good with it, bro? If you guys haven't smashed the like button, please take a moment. Make sure you guys smash the like button. Also, if you guys haven't hit the bell, make sure you guys hit the bell. And also make sure you hit that link that's pinned in the description box to go to Rumble for free. It doesn't cost any money. And subscribe over there. And also do the survey. Cameron says they aren't going to give it without a plan to recover most of it. If you guys agree with Cameron, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't agree with Cameron, give me a thumbs down. KO Kid Fit said, I got white dudes saying the same thing on my reparations video. See? Now, here's the question. Ask those white dudes how many black dudes they know that went and spent their money on a Benz. Let me ask you guys in the comment section. How many people do you all know that are black that have gotten any amount of money and the first thing that they did is went and got a Benz? A and B says people that say we will blow the bag are actually afraid they would spend all their money. I don't know what's wrong with them. I can definitely see why you would say that, A and B. But me personally, I can't say why somebody would make a false statement. Because if you ask me, all false statements have the same value, 0. So I don't know why somebody would make a false assertion like that. You know what I'm saying? Me personally, I just don't know why they would do it. But the thing that's interesting is that people do it and they feel very comfortable doing it. And see, the thing is that we have to analyze the behavior. Why do people feel comfortable making false assertions? Well, because of shame, blame, and explain. There's no consequence for all of the black people who get out in front of anywhere and make these kind of comments. There's no consequence for them. Matter of fact, society gives them rewards. You know what I'm saying? So that's why that happens. Untitled said, I would hate to see the money fought so hard to be squandered away. Now, I agree, right? But I don't think that everybody would squander the money away, because most people don't squander their money away. That's just an actual fact. Now, here's my question, right? And don't feel like I'm picking on you, Untitled, because I'm not. Even though I kind of am, I'm actually not. You know what I'm saying? The entire black world, every black person on the planet that says that black people would waste our reparations, right? I would like those black people to explain to me how Bruce's Beach was wasted. That's what I'd like them to do. Because that's an instance of where the United States gave property back to black people and something happened. And it wasn't that the money was wasted on a Benz. So I want to know what happened with Bruce's Beach. What happened with Manhattan Beach? There's a case study. What happened? Let me know in the comment section, guys, what happened with Bruce's Beach? What happened with Manhattan Beach?
make sure you vote blue no matter who in the next upcoming election and every election thereafter, or else you ain't black. And with all that being said, that does it for today's video. So please make sure you
keep doing shit that doesn't make sense. Or else you ain't black. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit the bell icon twice, smash the like button, share this video out to all of your followers. Make sure you subscribe to Rumble. The link is pinned in the live chat of the live stream. Also, make sure that you follow me on the backup channels and my other social media. And I will catch you all on the next video. All right? Peace.